Skip it. Go. Let's go.
All right, so we're just gonna start. Whenever you guys throw it live, just let us know.
Yeah, throw us live, Joe.
All right, so I believe we are back, for lack of a better word, back into, well, I would say champion selection, but we do already have the champion selections done and should be good to go back underway. Let's go over some of the picks and bans before we hop into the game, or at least the pick portion of this. So starting things off, Chase, why don't you work us down Team Storm?
Well, it looks like Lorlo is going to go ahead and rumble. And Doom Trobo is Jarvan the 4th. We have Mandatory Cloud and Orianna again. We're looking forward to seeing that. We have X, P-Cake, and Graves, who's becoming an emerging champion in this newest patch. And we have Baby Eater, again, a Soraka pick. Very some of the same stuff, some different stuff. Looking forward to seeing it. What do we expect to see from Final 5?
From Final 5, at least the champions have locked in here. Rux is on Gnar. We've got Shorter Ace on Rengnar, so at least they have a little bit of name synergy there. Gate is going to be the guy playing the Kassadin mid. And like we said, it's a diverse pick, probably only for this team. Not a lot of other teams run the Kassadin top, maybe a couple. We'll see that as the season progresses. But bottom lane is Prototype White and Rule 18 with a duo Lucian and Nami. And honestly, that duo lane, as far as champions are concerned, has been very, very strong for a long time. But kind of the new wave coming out here from Team Storm. They have the not necessarily Lucian counter, but a champion that, like you said, Chase, is starting to emerge. Graves, along with Soraka, who may not have been completely useless over the last few patches, but has catapulted herself into superstardom with the most recent rework. People finally starting to figure out how to hop on the Soraka hype train and or derail the trains of everybody else's. But either way, yeah, it's a very, very strong bottom lane for Team Storm. Of course, the same mid lane champion, like you said, Mandatory Cloud, rocking the Orianna that I'm not going to say single-handedly won them the game, but definitely turned it around.
Yeah, he was incredible. I mean, like we said before, just constantly getting kill after kill after kill. And with that, he just had the stacks of items. I mean, once he got the death cap, I think it was game over. The AP on that was just incredible, especially from the ultimate. Excuse me.
Yeah, Ultimate did a little bit of the damage. Of course, you saw a lot of it come out of the distortion afterwards, and just the follow-up, a lot of good communication that happened in team fights, but when we weren't in team fights, Storm definitely had some issues with the early game. They had, I guess, okay coordination as far as ganks are concerned. Several successful ganks top lane on Rux. But I think at least for this game, maybe you say, all right, well, now we know what to work on. And what we don't need to work on, mid lane was super good, and that's actually something Final 5 might have to focus just a little bit more on trying to keep Mandatory Cloud down.
Yeah, so you said Kassadin was going to go ahead and be mid lane for Final 5?
Yeah, I actually expected to go top, like I said. Rux has played that several times before, but Gate playing it mid lane, it works okay versus Orianna, who does actually dish out a fair amount of magic damage, or almost all magic damage. I don't know why I was like, oh, you can build AD or no. That's not the way it works. The point I was trying to make is that Kassadin Nullstone, the passive, blocks 15% of incoming magic damage, which just makes the shield all that much stronger that you get from I keep wanting to say Force Pulse, but it's actually Null Sphere.
Okay.
There we go. I was like, you when you come down to it, one ability, you just can't remember. There you go. But that is going to do it for champion picks and bans. So that means that at long last, we're actually going to jump in to a game of League of Legends, which theoretically is what we're all here to watch. So I do want to thank and appreciate all of you guys for sticking around. Going through some early jitters here as we get our production up and underway. But now that it is actually that way, we may just get to watch some League of Legends. Game 2 between Shorter Ace and the rest of Final 5, taking on the force that was Mandatory Cloud and Storm, who may have come in as unknown underdogs, but emerged from Game 1 ahead 1-0.
Yeah, thanks again for staying with us. We understand the issues with the delay. Let's go ahead and jump in game here. Finally, again, like you said, theoretically watching the game we all love.
Always something I'm excited to do, even if it's just, spectating other players. And I've had a chance to do that with almost all of the players here, seeing them either on streams or just spectated them individually. And it's nice to see these two teams come together in relatively a similar way. As soon as Rux got off Coast, they were like, hey, let's put together a team under Motion Gaming's kind of leadership, brought them together as Final 5, and, together Shorter Ace, Gate, Prototype White, and Rule 18. I've got a lot on their plates. They'll be flying to the North American Expansion Tournament in, not all that long. I think it's coming up very, very shortly this weekend, so really excited to see what they can bring out there. I think they'll be playing Fusion first round. But before they get to that, they have to take it through this game up against Team Storm. Might have a little bit more on their plates than they expected.
Yeah, we'll definitely see how it goes. I mean, again, great battle first game. A lot of it was shifting one way towards Final 5, and then all of a sudden it came back to Storm. We're glad we have the stream back up for you here so we can really see the finish. Well, not the finish. We could force a Game 3 here, but to see the rest of this series out. And, again, pretty basic start. Nothing going on in the first minute and a half, just some warding. And I really want to see how Shorter Ace uses his Rengar.
Yeah, we've always known Shorter Ace to be kind of the anti-NA Rengar. For a long time, it was said that North America really just didn't have the quality of Rengar players as the rest of the world did. But a few players turning that around. Final 5 is going to face off against one of those players in Nintendo Dex and Team Fusion, another great NA Rengar player. And of course, Shorter Ace bringing it out here in the new jungle. Might have some sustain issues, and we'll keep an eye on him as he gets some help from Rux here. It will be a little bit of a leash. And of course, when you smite the Krugs down, it does give you extra, sustain in the jungle, just because you're taking less damage. Stunning on every first and fifth auto attack there. So it's a nice way to utilize the extra attack speed that Rengar gets from his Q to be able to stun the creeps, keep him dealing damage.
And the laning phase is underway as the minions have clashed. We'll see. Again, with the cast-in being able to block 15% of that magic damage from Orianna. I expect him to have a pretty solid laning phase in this. And again, I think Gnar is going to be pretty aggressive again.
And that's what you should expect out of almost any Gnar. I like that, actually, kind of maybe baiting out that possibility of a Kassadin top lane pick. So the Rumble came in, and that's pushing it up for a Gnar and running that mid lane. Now, I would still expect, whoa, you can see that Tidecaller's blessing. Giving Prototype White the early aggression, which is why you pick Lucian. The ability to trade so effectively, level 2, level 3. But I don't know if it gets much more sustain than Baby Eater's Soraka, which proved so strong in game number 1, keeping XP Cake in the game. But fortunately, Soraka can't heal herself, so getting chunked down by Prototype White. So one good way to keep those heals from coming out.
Yeah, Prototype White's Lucian is so quick, and they're really just going to constantly be bruising the other team in that bottom lane. Oh, and here comes Kassadin. Oh, with a good stun there. We're just rotating between the lanes, and I really think Graves has a pretty solid burst, but I don't know if he's going to be able to get close enough without Lucian having put down that damage.
Yeah, I do want to correct a couple of things. No stun there, but also in the bottom lane, I thought Soraka couldn't heal herself. Not like traditionally. You have to land a Star Call in order to get that health coming back at you. And the Baby Eater has been able to do that, although if you want to check the consumables, we're a little bit lower on those pots. It does have a mana pot in case keeps that coming back down. So bottom lane now shifting back in favor of Final 5. They'll get the shove on. It's something that Graves and Lucian both do incredibly well. But actually I haven't seen all that much aggression. As soon as you see anything mid lane, it just keeps getting evened out. So really jungle pressure to turn one of these lanes around. It looks like it might be mid lane. Doom Trobo still in there, waiting in the wings, but Gate's very passive underneath his turret. He's not going to be out of there anytime soon.
Looks like Shorter Ace is, well, he was seen, so he's going to just go ahead and kill that ward, but he looks like he's going to stick around there on the bottom of the map, maybe a back, we'll see. No, he's gone out of there, so no jungle aggression here, very different from last game. We saw Vi, again, come in real hot top lane.
And you can see Rengar, he's like waffling back and forth. Does he stay there? Does he leave? The answer is, well, should be leave, but wasted about 30 seconds down there just waiting for a gank. And now what could be a lot more effective, Doom Trobo coming up around the top lane. Now Rux is next to his turret. It'll be about whether or not Lorlo can either bait out his lead and or, yeah, there's a little bit of aggression, but Doom Trobo's already headed for the hills.
Wow, not a lot going on there, but looks like Lorlo's keeping Ruck's pretty tight there. Nothing too crazy going on. We'll certainly see when the first kill is going to be. I'm always interested in who gets the first blood here.
Mandatory Cloud throwing down an Ignite. Knows he's got his jungler in the wings. First blood. Mandatory Cloud locks it down. Doom Trobo, yeah, very snuck around there. And as soon as Mandatory Cloud popped the Ignite, you had to know something bad was about to happen. Although Gate, I don't think he reacted correctly. Threw down one of his own, wanted to trade, but should have known the jungler.
Speak of the devil, there's the first blood of the match so far. Again, Jarvan the fourth coming in real hot. We'll definitely see what kind of build he's going to go. Probably more towards tank. What do you think?
Jarvan, I mean, you want to build aggressive early on, pretty much the same way with most junglers, and so he'll be going for, I believe, recurrent check, if I'm not mistaken on there. Whereas you should see a little bit more attack speed built in shorter aces build, whether it's an early
Lorlo's in trouble.
Yeah, Lorlo living up to the last half of his name and dropping down low there in the top lane. Not necessarily the worst situation, but now we got to pan back up there. Yeah, shorter ace. Jumping out the jungle, still only level 4. Level disadvantage in that situation, but health advantage. And he'll push certainly Lorlo, but also Doom Trobo away from that top half of the map.
Doesn't quite have the movement speed to catch up there, but he allows Lorlo to be in command of the top lane here, just getting some more farm.
Teleport used, so Lorlo will be able to get back to lane very quickly, but that cooldown is a big one, specifically early on, especially if you look down towards the bottom lane. Final 5 have a ward placed in the far bottom lane bush, and that means that if the opportunity presents itself and XP Cake maybe either press a little bit too far up in the lane, Rux just drops a teleport on that deep ward and is able to teleport behind them for the possibility of a kill.
Again, we see shorter ace going back. He's in, everyone's in full control of their own jungle, but nothing too aggressive, just trading back and forth, poking each other. We have no level advantages really here, and not too much going on early game.
Yeah, I wouldn't say very much at all, and honestly, you shouldn't really expect all that much. While we don't necessarily have junglers who gank primarily based on their ultimates, Doom Trobo has come up with the first successful gank of the game, and nothing from shorter ace, not all that unexpected. Sometimes if you have early duels, sure, Rengar's a great ganker, but primarily you do want to wait for that level 6 and then run up a lane and try to turn things around that way. Specifically mid lane, the Rengar Orianna combo is a good one, but now we're actually going to see how Rengar combos with Cassidy. I'm not necessarily totally convinced that it's quite as potent, but we'll get a chance to see out here in just a second. As you can see, maybe in a steal attempt here on the red buff, or on the blue buff rather. Shorter Ace is waiting around there, but we got ganks, or not necessarily ganks, but trades up in the top half of the map. Equalizer being thrown down as the Meganar ult comes out. Not intentionally, of course, it is a little bit passive, but nothing too crazy happening off the back of that trade either.
Just as we saw junglers possibly converge near the dragon, we see Shorter Ace's Rengar just go back to his red again. So again, not a lot of jungle aggression.
And I didn't actually catch out who got that blue buff at all. I was supposed to go over towards Gates, but it does appear as if attempting to locate blue buff.
Doesn't look like Mandatory Cloud has it either. Maybe even Jarvan the fourth Doom Trobo took it with that.
We'll keep an eye out for there. Might just not be showing up. Of course, maybe we're just missing something totally obvious. I'll never forget, watching OGN, and there's thought that like Sunfire Cape stole a Baron, and I was just like, wow, totally didn't happen. They were okay. The blue buff is actually centered on Orianna's ball.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen that before. That's odd. Let's go back to that and try to catch that.
I'm watching it. I'm not really believing what I'm seeing, but there is a blue buff on the ball. It's not showing up on Orianna, so apologies for a weird graphical glitch. Maybe that's just on our end. Well, let's go ahead and talk about the rest of the game.
Yeah.
Dead even on the gold count, and aside from that kill, really not too many big discrepancies out there. 10 CS advantage top lane, same situation on the other side in the bottom lane. Or actually, no, it's on the same side.
Same side.
In the bottom lane. So other than that, very uneventful, or in the event that crazy ganks did happen, of course we'd see things.
No, I don't even think an ultimate's gone off yet, except for Rumble one time chasing after Gnar, excuse me.
Yeah. Up in the top lane, you can see a reaction to that. Rux, instead of going for the more traditional brutalizer build that you'd Might see a little bit more commonly X Drinker just to keep his lane pressure just as much as he wants it to be. Now, Lorlo unable to complete a Haunting Guise or early Sorcerer's Shoot, just returns to lane with components, so maybe a little bit of an advantage there for Rux as he was able to complete his first big item in that matchup. And recall back to base, we'll have a few more items coming his way. Mandatory Cloud once again sticking to the Chalice of Harmony, getting that in a Fiendish Codex before walking back to lane.
Just like you were saying last game, I mean, he knows what he needs to do, and he's going to do it. I'm interested to see who pounces first and where most of the aggression comes from.
It's hard to land Shockwave on Castle. It's pretty mobile, and probably will be looking for more of a team-based usage there rather than trying to pick up those big 1v1s. Just like the first gank of the game, it wasn't Mandatory Cloud trying to pick up the kill in 1v1. He knew he had help from it.
Yeah, it seems like these team compositions, except for maybe the exception of Rengar, there aren't a huge amount of 1v1s. I think they're really focusing on the late game and team fights. And I'm really, it's really interesting to see Final Four is just not being as overtly aggressive as last game.
Well, it'd be Final 5, the Final Four, the place in their North American expansion tournament. So.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, I mean, if we're gonna call them that, we might as well call them the Elite Four. I was pulling really hard, wishing that they would be called the Elite 5. Then you could make all sorts of Pokemon references.
Right.
But unfortunately, my dreams at easy puns were not realized. Now Gabe's actually gonna wait. What?
Flash, there's the cat
into that. Not where he wanted to be. And Command Shockwave's gonna seal the deal for Mandatory Cloud. Short Ray is now forced to flash away the Ignite. And that gives a double kill over to Mandatory Cloud. I'm not sure if that was lag or what was going on there, but the Rift Walk in from Gabe, maybe not on the same page as Shorter Ace.
Well, what's great about the Ignite is it gave Mandatory Cloud that second kill, and I don't know if Doom Trobo wanted it or not. I mean, he certainly pursued his target, but Mandatory Cloud, again, with that early lead we have in kills, overall 3-0 again to start the first 11 minutes and 40 seconds.
And traditionally, you would expect from this ganking combo that Gate would have been very, very difficult for this combo to gank. You can Rift Walk out of Cataclysm, out of Command Shockwave, but using your Rift Walk and your Flash and really running out of options turns you into a pretty immobile mid lane mage. So having a few little bits of lag here. Lorlo apparently having some issues with that. Thankfully, he was not actually involved in the actual altercation in the mid lane. He's still all the way up top.
It looks to be under no pressure, so that's good. Hopefully, we can come out of this pause with relative ease. Again, sorry for all of the delays and issues of today.
Yeah, it has been a rough start to get off the ground, but there are only so many issues that can possibly happen. Once you fix most of them, should be smooth sailing from here on out. Although, maybe storms in the production, equipment storms in the game, it's some rough weather outside. But I mean, Mandatory Cloud's kind of the reason for at least that part of the season. 3-0 to start the game off. And while in game number 1, it was actually a very rough start for Storm. Here in game 2, a much better start to the game, and we saw that they had a strong finish in game 1. We'll see if that is still the case.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't think it's necessarily the issue of choosing Cassidy middle. I just think it's Mandatory Cloud's play, and you see that Jarvan the Fourth just come in every time, and he's almost ready to go and to pounce on it. Oh, and we're live again. Wonderful. So let's see what happens up here next, and looks like it could be a battle coming towards middle, possible with blue steel again. Looking towards the dragon perhaps. We'll see what happens here. Rux again being aggressive with that Gnar, as we always would say. Lorlo's probably just going to go ahead and go not quite full tank. Oh, here's the
real action, of course, around the dragon pit. That's actually going to be an ultimate. Baby Eater, and more specifically Doom Trobo, could really use her wish right then. They got it. We'll get the dragon as well. First dragon of the game will go over to Doom Trobo. And that's not really a big surprise with Mandatory Cloud having ulted to kind of set that up. And Shorter Ray is really just not willing to suicide in there for a steal.
Totally understandable.
Yeah, 8% extra damage there. Gate actually Rift Walking in aggressively on a Mandatory Cloud. Loves that Rift Walk in, but I think that's the first time I've seen it actually work out.
Yeah, well, he did back up after that. Mandatory Cloud safely underneath the tower. Looks like he may just stick around there, play it a little safer until he has Jarvan the Fourth again to help cover him. He's been helping him all game. Seeing some backs here. Looks like bottom team, the the bottom prototype white is going to try to take this tower, but they're not going to get it in time.
Yeah, Minion Wave's going to run out, and that's actually one of the interesting changes coming up in the next patch. I believe minions, on average, have about 4% less health. I just glanced over the patch notes, and I was like, okay, that's going to change a few things. But of course, that's compensated from with in other ways. And, of course, definitely go check out the patch notes for definitive information. Walking around the corner, XPK's going to find prototype white and misses the auto attack. There's that 0.5 seconds where you can still recall back to base even if you're hit. And he was definitely not expecting to find a prototype white right around the corner.
I mean, it's incredible when you talk about all these little things, 0.5 seconds, 4% boop or bump in health. I mean, all these little factors can be so huge in League of Legends. That's what makes it such an interesting game.
Low running straight into Rux. Shorter Ace coming in behind. There's the slope from the hop right on his head. Orlo now flashing out. Knows he's got help on the way, but is he going to get there in time? Gnar against the wall. Shorter Ace going to go down there in a 1v2. But now the rest of the team engaging. Bottom lane, we got fights going on there as well. Hop out of the Cataclysm, but can Doom Trobo follow this up? Rux only has a little bit more. Megadon from one last auto attack, and Doom Trobo gonna take him down. So far, only one kill coming towards final 5 up top lane. Can they pick up some more bottom? There's gonna be the ultimate collateral damage. Not gonna be able to pick up a kill. Turn around here now from Rule 18. Lands a bubble, but should have hit XP Cake. Doesn't protect his AD carry, and he's gonna go down. XP Cake's Graves digging him, picking up his only kill of the game.
Yeah, I didn't really think that Rule 16 was going to go for the bubble on Baby Eater there. Obviously, all the damage was coming from XP Cake, especially with that ultimate. And I'm really surprised again that Lucian stuck around. I mean, it was aggressive, and they were trading back and forth. And with all that health so low, it was a risky gambit, and it really did pay off for Storm.
Storm up 6-1 here in the early game, and to fair credit, Shorter Ace up top lane, he didn't have a whole lot of help there. His Rux died, and he was left in a 1v2. Finally able to pick up a kill in that matchup. Does give the Wonder Kid of Washington the only kill for his team. He's going to put the rest of that into picking up a Hex Drinker, but will Rux's Hex Drinker keep him alive? Knight's coming down, Gate coming around from behind. There's going to be the hyper passive proc. One last auto attack, and once again, it's a shutdown. Coming in for Shorter Ace, a bubble on a Doom Trouble, keeps him around there, but very low health bars here on Storm, making him reluctant to re-engage.
It's great because we saw this aggression from Final 5 last game, and now it seems like the script is totally flipping. But again, like we saw in the game, Final 5 was in the lead for the first around 25 minutes, and then slowly the game got out of their hands. We don't think the same is going to happen here, but I mean, it's certainly potential.
Yeah, very different champion choices than the ones that had problems in Game 1. Doom Trouble was on Vi, not a champion you really expect to see in the current meta with the new jungle. And now he's on Jarvan, a much more accepted sort of all-around jungle pick. And while Shorter Ace had oh man, XP Cake walking right into Prototype White, they both immediately dash away. It's like, all right, just kidding.
Didn't even want a 1v1 there.
Exactly. The point I was trying to make is Shorter Ace, he's now on Rengar. It's always been one of his best champions along with Lee Sin, drawing almost certain pick and bans in the upcoming expansion tournament, and of course over the last few phases of it. So he's on a champion he's much more comfortable with, and will probably have a larger impact than he did.
Yeah, I agree. I think that Warwick is. It was an interesting choice, but it just didn't scale well. It seemed like he couldn't choose what build to go for. First he built heavy when he should have built aggressive, then he built aggressive when he should have built heavy and tank. And I don't think that he's going to make that same mistake twice, especially with such a great jungler. That he's, I don't know if he's more comfortable with him, but he certainly is playing a completely different game.
Yeah, and like we said in the first game, while the big numbers may be bigger, they don't necessarily always have the same effect. Smaller ones, the turret score, actually now in Final 5's favor. You saw a Gate come down bottom, was able to take that bottom lane turn up, and the first turret kill of the game. And actually, if you check the gold count too, only 1,500. The difference between both of these teams. So, like, I always hate games that are like, 14-3 in kills, and you're like, wow, this team's super far ahead. And then you look at the turrets and like, wait, they have no turrets. So going for kills will get you, win you the game eventually. But turrets are something you have to kill sooner or later. And it's not like Storm are going to be unable to answer those. Maybe top lane Not a place they'll find that answer, but mid should be going more their way. Mandatory Cloud, 3-1-1. Same situation as it was in game number 1. Very, very strong.
Yeah, Dragon's up in about 15 seconds. Just like you said, objectives are more important than kills. Kills don't win you the game. Objectives do. It's just as simple as that. And when it comes to towers and Dragons and Barons, I mean, that's kind of where the game is won and lost. And, oh, here's a 4-on-1.
Oh,
wow.
He just didn't see it coming. The best part of every Rumble death is waiting for him to, like, finish his ejection and then, like, fall back down. I used to, there's a period of time where I used to, like, lose every single game to Rumble. And every time he died, I would just, like, wait for the most satisfying thing. And it has to be pretty satisfying there for Final 5. They pick up a kill onto Lorlo, but unfortunately, they're going to lose that Dragon. And so, for right now, that's the second Dragon buff. Going to give some extra % damage to minions and monsters. And just right off the back of that, another turret kill coming in. Now 2-3, but still the advantage for Final 5.
When Final 5 had the Dragons before, they definitely had the momentum, at least last game, excuse me. But this game, I mean, it's totally switched. And we'll see if there's a fight out here. See if he pops his Cataclysm. And there it is.
Robo went in there, set up perfectly for that wombo combo shockwave on top of collateral damage. And now Shorter Ace going in for a big kill on a Mandatory Cloud. But he's already done his job. He hit that ultimate very, very well. And now look at the follow-up. XP Cake looking for all the damage he can find. Rux, he's finding things out there, wants to at least find a kill on a Baby Eater, but
first,
that was kind of a suicide mission there, as Rux couldn't quite find that kill. Like PK picking up his 4th kill of the game.
I think he realized that, he was kind of out of luck there, and perhaps he could have gotten Baby Eater, but, obviously he was doomed to fail from the beginning. And there's the first ace for XP Cake of the game in under 20 minutes. And again, another objective, tying it 3-3 in towers.
No, but the big difference as far as turrets are concerned is how deep you go on that. Top lane, nothing there outside the base. Whereas mid lane, same situation on the other side with Storm shoving down that lane. And now already some pings around the Baron area. Of course, it doesn't spawn until the 20-minute mark, so right as soon as it spawns, no immediate 20-minute Barons or anything.
No.
But it is live, it's on the map, and definitely something you want to have ward control. That is something that's Storm have put out.
Yeah, you ever seen a 20-minute Baron?
I've seen 15-minute Barons, of course. Wow. Unfortunately, no longer possible.
No, it is not.
But yeah, you're probably not going to see that, just given the way that the game has changed around objectives like Dragon being so crucial. They keep stacking up those buffs over and over again. You had 5 of those, and I'd argue that it's almost better than Baron.
Yeah, I mean, definitely with all those statistics there, like you might have that incredible attack boost from the Baron, but the movement speed, the ability to use your minions to split push, the just overall attack damage, of course, is the same as the Baron, but just everything on top of that.
Watch out,
caught under the tower.
Silence right into the wave, but Kate gets that extra move speed from Tide Caller's Blessing. Just walks right on out of there. But like you said, talking about turrets and how it was something that was in favor. Whoa, Prototype White dashing in. That should have been an out button.
Oh, there it goes.
Huge knockup from Doom Trobo. Sets up once again for a perfect command shockwave. A double kill for Mandatory Cloud. And Doom Trobo trying his very best. Gets the flag, but needs one more auto attack. And that is the 4th kill of the game. Top lane got the same situation. Pushing through the turrets 1 by 1. XP Cake takes out the 5th one of the game. And Storm, like you said, when it rains, it pours. And they definitely have a deluge up top lane, taking down turret after turret.
Yeah, that was an incredible play. If you look here, I mean, 4-0, 6-2, 4-0. I mean, everything's going in Storm's favor kill-wise.
Shorter Ace, the Wonder Kid of Washington, trying for a kill. Can't Soraka save it? No, that wish not good enough, not granted. Shorter Ace able to take down XP Cake and picks himself up a bunch of gold for it. 4 kills and now shut down. So good guy Shorter Ace. He's trying to carry his team.
Right as I was talking about XPK going 4-0, there's that first death from him. So, I mean, the extra gold with for the jungler will certainly help. But, I mean, I'm not seeing a lot coming from the Lucian here. 0-3, it's not. His item build's a little behind. They do have both Infinity Edges, but with the Static Shiv on XP Cake, he does have a lot more burst, and once he gets in range, he will use it.
Yeah, and you can see even a movement away. Prototype White, knowing that he's behind, I believe that long sword is either go for a Vamp Scepter or picking up a Yomu's Ghost Blade. It is the build you can go for, but like you said, it's actually, we might be just going straight up for Last Whisper. not necessarily a Lucian build I would recommend, but given the fact that he is very far behind, he does need to be able to chunk through some of the armor items that are starting to be built. And you know, as I say that, I only see one of them. There's only so many good directions to go in your build when you are this far behind.
And we'll see what happens middle, perhaps a collapse on Lucian and Nami. Oh, there's a Cataclysm down with the Soraka silence.
Yeah, collapse on shorter ace. He'll get a little bit of sustain,
Ooh.
but collateral damage. Putting it down, XP Cake. So there's lots of get cake being spam out there. That's what he does. That's what he did. Shorter ace, unfortunately picking up his 5th death of the game.
We cannot show you the chat here for fear of what they may be saying to each other. So you'll have to take it for our word.
Yeah, so going down will give Shorter Ace at least 2 out of 3 of the components necessary for I was going to say Talisman of Ascension. I keep forgetting the name. It's a Locket. It's not even Locket of there. Sorry, it's
the one before it.
Randuin's Omen.
Yeah.
That's the hashtag
magic
struggle.
Magic resistance armor. It's all
I can remember every other name.
Yeah. Well, items are already typical. I myself don't know items typically. Always adding more.
I mean, they just added a new one, Righteous Glory. I remember the struggle that St. Vicious had casting IM. He was like Righteous Fury, Righteous Fervor, but he got it eventually, and we'll get the item names right eventually too. Talking about getting things right, Final Five had the right idea earlier on in taking objectives. They were ahead in objectives for what felt like the majority of the early part of the game, but you can just see the kills starting to filter into objectives. So many of them, you just win a team fight, take objectives off the back of that. And speaking of which, we got dragons coming down. This will be the 3rd dragon of the game. And 5% additional movement speed for the entire Storm team.
With the dragon buff here, literally is a snowball. I think that's the perfect word to describe Storm's play right now. I mean, it just doesn't look like Final Five can even get a tower down. I mean, they're all grouping together, maybe looking for a team fight, but they definitely, just like last game with Storm, need a comeback, 4-on-4, 5-on-5, something to really turn the tide of this game.
And now slow on the Lorlo. Gate might have the damage that he needs. Lorlo very low on the defensive stats, kind of non-existent. Rux gave the chasing things out. Oh, the flash into Heather push, but Wish once again not granted.
Yeah, I don't
think Shockwave though through the turret into collateral damage. And while sure there's a victory top lane, there's a big loss in the mid. First inhibitor of the game going down at 25.5 minutes.
Yeah, it looks like Lorlo was really just trying to bait there. I didn't quite see the minimap until our guys switched it over. I mean, Lorlo played that the best you can by trying to distract as many players as possible to get that inhibitor. Again, objectives over kills every day.
Yeah, it's kind of the struggle of being top lane. Sometimes you just got to take one for your team. He's like, hey guys, look at me. He's doing the patented Lorlo cheerleader dance. Have to ask him to show us that after the game. But at least for right now, it's super effective. Whoa, Rux might get the blue buff. Life in jeopardy. Distortion coming out, and while he is trying to kite away for that hyper, make sure that he has enough move speed. Will that move speed be enough? No!
Oh, over the boulder, too.
That feel when you forget to bring your Nike shocks, and you're just like, man, I really wish I had, the power of Michael Jordan in my feet right now. Fortunately, his feet are cute and furry, and while that may work for hobbits, it does not work for Nars, whatever Nars are.
Yeah, I don't think Nars jump could make a basket.
There's a reason there's no Nar branded Nike shoes. Sometimes you just can't jump over the walls.
Maybe someday.
Rux unfortunately going down there. It's his 3rd death of the game, and he's at least he's not in the same situation Shorter Ace has. He's been trying as hard as he can to carry, but also winds up with most deaths in that situation.
I mean, Doom Trobo's driving force is doing a great job here with being 5-0-11. He's been in almost every single battle, every single situation required of him.
And what a change from game number 1, where he was actually he was like 0-6 or something in the mid phase. Now definitely flipping the tables on that score.
Yeah, definitely more comfortable here with driving the 4th as opposed to Vi there. And he's, I mean, with that Cataclysm down, it only feeds into Oriana's command Shockwave.
Shockwave good in game 1. Same here in game number 2. Look at those birds from XP Cake. Holy hell, now Shorter Ace looking to go in, but we'll have the follow-up he needs. He's going to have to jump somewhere.
Oh, misses.
Yeah, nice try on the Cataclysm, and a teleport actually coming in now from Rux. He was in the bottom lane. He is in Mega Gnar form. To get that ultimate off, he'll be one step closer to turning his team fighter around.
see what happens here.
Silence down, actually gets snared by that Silence. Finally gets off the Gnar against the wall, but not enough damage to dish out off the back of that Rift Walk away there from Gate. He'll actually flash away from that buckshot. Wasn't going to hit him anyway. Gate will survive. Same situation for Rux, but was very, very low. Rule 18 as well.
Excellent ult from Art there to really get the team away. I mean, you can see Rux barely surviving. He just keeps running. He'll probably just go ahead and get all that health back from the CS. And looks like for now the team fight is over.
Well, he doesn't have any life steals. Probably not getting health back from the CS.
Well, he'll go back.
Yeah, he'll have time to push out the wave, get that CS. He actually does have completed Randuin's Omen. He got one on shorter ace too, so they're starting to get the items. They're just kind of far behind in the places where they really need them. Mid lane, you can see a big discrepancy between items, although not actually as much as I would have expected. We're almost on a Zonya's Hourglass for Gate. It's a big item power spike for Kassadin. Allows him to do those Messiah-style baits where you Rift Walk
really
in, Zonya's, bait out all the ultimates. So the big problem, of course, comes from the AD carry department. Prototype White, just I don't even know what that item build is supposed to do. It gives you a lot of burst damage, but there's no attack speed. There's no life steal.
Well, there's the life steal coming on with the Vampiric Scepter, but that's not nearly going to be enough this stage of the game.
Yeah, traditionally, if you're going to commit to the critical strike damage, you want to land more critical strikes, and you get that for things like a Shiv, like a, well, I guess nobody really builds Phantom Dancer anymore.
No.
You get the idea. You want crit strike. It's going to make him effective, so it's a good way at, hey, you're behind, now I want to get back into the game, be able to deal damage to high armor targets. Whoa, Rule 18 collateral damage, just blowing him apart. Somewhat interestingly named, because it's actually the damage that he meant to deal. Nothing collateral about it. Shorter range got Silence. It's so difficult to deal with. You're just like, I want to flash out. You're hammering your F key. Of course, that is supposed to bind flash too.
Just for flash.
Doesn't work when you're Silence. So once again, Baby Eater, these silences have been on point, and some people are saying, hey, it's an AoE silence. It's super easy to land. I want to see you guys do that. Great play consistently. Great silences from Baby Eater.
Oh, and definitely an 0-2 disadvantage again in that fight. I wouldn't even call it a team fight, more of like 2 5-on-1s in a row. I mean, they were contesting the Baron, but I mean, that's a very liberal use of the word contest. I mean, it almost like they were going in for vision, and then they got it, then just, two guys were blown out of the water. So not a lot of team coordination happening late game for Final 5.
Now, coordination a little bit rough. The best thing you can say about that is that Rux is able to take a turret in the bottom lane, so they're still only down 2, but they might be down 2 inhibitors if they aren't able to keep this, to stem the tide of the Baron buffed minions coming through the base. Shorter Ace actually smiting the cannon minion just to try to get back into range, but I'm not sure he can quite make it down though. Final 5 will push Storm out of their base long enough to probably clear out the minion wave, but they have an open inhibitor mid too, so.
It has Respawn. Looks like they're going to try to maybe switch to that one, but Final 5 is on top of all of their plans. They know exactly what they're going for. I mean, it's pretty much wide open here. 2 unexposed inhibitors. We'll see if one goes down.
Yeah, one is going to go down there in the mid lane. Not a whole lot to say about that. And while XP Cake might have gotten boatlit there a little bit, it's not going to stop them from retreating.
This is definitely where you can see, night and day the help of the new Baron buff with the minions just being so buffed to the extreme. Look at the size of the cannon. I just love that.
Yeah, there you go. It's super huge. Shorter Ace turning on his ultimate, but is he going to be able to go in here? Command Shockwave turns him all the way around. Doom Trouble able to pick up another kill and winning out that jungle battle. Gnar against the wall is going to hit a couple stuns, but just not going to deal enough damage. Lorlo taking out Rule 18 at the end of that, and with 3 kills now, this might actually be the end of the game.
Could be the end of the game here, like you just said. I mean, especially if Prototype White gets taken out, and he does, and it's a 5-on-1. I doubt that Casting's going to be able to, I mean, his ult is out there. I think they're not going to be able to make this work.
And at the end of the day, Storm taking it by storm and taking out the Final 5. We're looking to see a lot more from them this upcoming weekend, but for the rest of the NACL winter season, this is going to be all for them. All day long, it's a 24/7 score to finish things out, and that is going to be Lorlo, Doom Trouble, Mandatory Cloud, XP Cake, and of course an honorable mention there to Baby Eater finished it out at 0-0-16. Now, this isn't actually the last we're going to see of Final Five.
No, it is not. This is actually a double elimination tournament here. We'll have qualification games for a consolation tournament coming up later. I believe on Thursday is the beginning of it, and then coming up into next week. We will have a consolation bracket final on New Year's Eve to be shown here at the AFK Lounge. So maybe they can make a comeback and make it all the way back up again. I mean, we'd love to see them play. I mean, both great teams and very entertaining to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. And in case you guys didn't get enough of Final Five tonight, we see them in the upcoming weekend during the North American Expansion Tournament. So really excited to see how that works out. And, of course, excited for the rest of the games tonight. We'll give you guys an update on those when we come back after a short commercial break. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is the NACL winter season. We want to thank you for tuning in. We'll be right back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, of the North American Challenger League winter season. My name is Rapid. With me, Chase, joining me here tonight, and we're going to get underway with our second series of the night.
Yeah, here we have Enemy against compLexity here. Very cool matchup. Tell me more about these teams.
Yeah, the real big thing happening tonight is that Enemy eSports, one of the favorite teams to maybe upset some of the stronger members in the North American LCS expansion tournament, unfortunately lost out in a 0-2 series to Team Fusion, who advanced to the next round. And now they're, what was kind of up in the air, it's like, well, where do they go after this? Do they continue being a team? They maybe try to reorganize? And just really got to commend them a lot for sticking together, saying, look, we're going to go hard in the tournament scene, play as much as we possibly can. And that's great for fans of Enemy eSports. I've been following them for a while. Great roster, and actually a different roster coming out tonight. We got a lot of big changes for Enemy, but an equal amount of changes for their opponents in compLexity, who fielded 2 rosters in the North American LCS expansion tournament, and well, neither one of them made it in. So this is kind of a conglomeration of the best of both rosters, and a little bit of new stuff coming out of the jungle in Odd Orange joining compLexity's team here in the NACL. Yeah,
with these new rosters, especially for compLexity eSports, we'll really see how these picks shape up here. We're about to get started pretty soon. Again, we have that 3-ban, 3-pick, and then 2-ban, 2-pick system going on per team, so 1 round per team, obviously equaling a total of 5 picks, obviously. Sorry again, and then 5 bans.
Yeah, so it's a little bit of a new thing for this season, so if you don't get it immediately, bear with us. We'll have plenty of games to show you how it works. And if you're familiar with other MOBAs who use a captain's draft, like Chase said, we're going to do 3 bans, and then 3 picks, and then finish out the rest of the bans, and then the rest of the picks. It adds a lot of strategic diversity that may not have, most teams probably aren't experienced. One player who will be very experienced with that is Lopali, who will be playing tonight. And he comes from a very, very diverse gaming background and has had a lot of experience with this. So maybe, some extra strategic depth coming from that. But
yeah, speaking of diversity, can you tell me about Enemy Sports' Cat God?
Yeah, Cat God, a guy that has a lot of hype behind him. A lot of people, when they're starting to do well, begin to feel like a Cat God, and it's been awesome to see his performance in all throughout the NA expansion tournament. Even when his team maybe needs a little bit of a pick me up, he is there to carry things out. He's had some incredible games over the course of that tournament, and the big thing and the big news for this tournament, NACL, and really for the Enemy roster, is his move to the jungle.
Yeah, primarily he was a top player who really carried and really got a lot of hype in that way, and even had a lot of people following him from there, and Flares is replacing him at top. So what do you think about all that?
Flare is, it's been really weird. All the way back in like the very, very first split of quote-unquote LCS, when it was first called that, there was a compLexity Academy roster that tried to make it in, and nobody remembers that at all. It's sort of, swept under the rug, but he was on it. And I've never forgotten that, just because it's been interesting to see him transition from, the very beginning of LCS to now being on another challenger team, of course, moving over from Team LOLPro. To play here tonight. But speaking of movement, we talked about how Cat God moved down from the top lane to play jungle. Got another movement here of Inox, the former top laner of Evil Geniuses. Now he'll be playing mid tonight. So that's not a role that I've ever seen him play professionally. I've seen him play a little bit of that in solo queue. But otherwise, yeah, this is a totally new situation to see Inox.
Right, and I'm really curious to see how compLexity eSports really kind of meets that challenge. I mean, I don't think they really know what they're expecting out of Inox, right? Maybe in Italy, but are they going to focus on any bans for that?
Yeah, Inox primarily known for Nidalee, and while it's one of the most diverse champions in the game, whether it's builds, AD, AP, a lot of different stats you can put on Nidalee to be effective, not really a champion that you see in the meta anymore. No. So he's had to diversify. He's played just about everything. I would say Azir, one of the key picks to look out for him. Azir is available, so he's not banned or anything. So you can go for that champion. We actually saw a little bit of Azir this weekend at Intel Extreme Masters San Jose. I believe Bjergsen pulled that out. And we went for this really weird double Morel and Namakan build. It was, I wasn't a big believer, but apparently it's a great build. Just wasn't what they needed at the time. So Might be looking for it. Let's go ahead and get into picks and bans so we can see those down there. Already starting things off with the first phase of our captain's draft. So that's 3 bans for both sides before we go into picks. So just like normal, you'd expect Lee Sin banned and a Vi. So a lot of targeting onto Orange.
We just saw Vi, and she's not necessarily in the current meta. Why do you think they picked her as a ban? Are they just trying to go after every jungle?
Well, the sad truth for Orange is that, unfortunately, his jungle pool isn't huge by any means. So it's primarily a Lee Sin player. He's got almost as many Reddit montages as Shorter Ace. But honestly, is a guy that hasn't seen a whole lot of competitive play. And so coming out tonight, there's not a whole lot of mystery behind him because he pretty much just plays Lee Sin and Vi is his default champion. So while there are a lot of strong jungle champions out there, you can see Rengar actually being banned out there.
Yeah,
I would expect to see something like maybe the Warwick that we saw earlier just for, hey, it's an easy jungle pick to play now. Maybe a Pantheon also. So we'll keep an eye on that as the ban phase continues. Like I said, Rengar and now Thresh being banned out here for compLexity.
No hooks this game, and as the third bans for each team come out, we'll definitely see how that affects any of the first 3 picks. Again, top, jungle, and mid are the first 3 to pick. So really, I think the bans could primarily focus, at least in this first round, on those first 3 positions. Again, Warwick, jungle, banned again, and then Jarvan 4. Seems like the jungle
Holy
pool.
cow.
Hopefully a Panth maybe comes out because I don't know what Orange has left.
Yeah, if you don't pick a jungler here in the first 3 picks now for compLexity, you risk having all 5 bans targeted at your jungler whose pool may not be all that deep in general. It definitely has that no diving sign on top. So it's going to be interesting to see what Orange goes for. Now, there are still a lot of junglers left out there. Like a Pantheon, one that I mentioned primarily. Some changes to him coming up in the next patch to make him quite not as easy to solo early objectives.
Like that dragon that we always love to see.
Level 2, level 3 dragon. It's
incredible.
Crazy out there.
But anyways, we have the first pick here from Flares, a Gnar. Again, very popular in the meta these days. The diversity, we've talked about him all day. Last 3 hours, last 2 games. I mean, we've seen him, in and outs. And so, going to be a good time for Gnar up top against, looks like Pantheon. He could switch to jungle, I guess, with Orange. But maybe they're just trying to get that champion under wraps so that CatGod really also struggles in choosing a jungle.
Yeah, you got to pick a jungle champion for Orange as fast as you can. One of the things I was afraid of when I first heard of this captain's draft, before I really understood how it worked, is I saw, hey, 5 bans. What if you just 5 ban 1 role? And that won't work because you can only ban 3 first, and then you get a chance to pick champions. But at the same time, you can target 1 role very, very highly because you do have more bans overall. So a lot of pressure on Orange. Locking that Pantheon, one of the top junglers right now. So even with all the focus on the jungle bans, good to see that he still gets a very strong champion.
Yeah, and I really don't think iKennyU is going to stick with Pantheon top at this point. I mean, we'll see what kind of ins and outs. I mean, would you say there's another jungler available for Orange?
Elise is another really good option. And if you guys have checked out the 4.21 patch notes that just came out today, you know that there are a lot of nerfs targeted at Fiddlesticks of all things.
Don't see a lot of him.
He's kind of dominated. Fiddlesticks and Katarina both are almost auto bans in things like Korean solo queue, just because of how hard they can just wombo combo a team fight and just completely devastate things. And the real thing about Fiddlesticks that makes him very good is he has incredibly high sustain in a jungle that's just going to murder you if you don't.
Yeah, definitely. With that Q on the heel, pretty incredible. And then we have Corki here and Soraka. Again, big pick today. Great combo on bottom. That's
incredible.
That's a very aggressive lane.
Rather than going aggressive, like you said with Soraka, all you have to do is, instead of silencing your opponent, you just place the silence on your own AD carry. And you're like, but Rapid, you can't silence your own AD carry. And it's like, no, but anything that jumps on him gets silenced. And, of course, there's a snare at the end of that. So really good way of locking down any bruisers that are trying to gap close. Soraka overall just super annoying to deal with.
Oh, yeah, and with Corki's movement speed, that could be a really great play, especially for ganks coming in from the top to the bottom. We'll see how that plays out. And we have an Aurelia. Looks like she will probably end up going top to iKennyU.
Yeah, Aurelia for iKennyU. It's not a big mystery that he's a great Aurelia player, and has been for a long time, even before Aurelia was, like the staple top laner. Now it's almost like all automatically Maokai, Aurelia. It's kind of what you see most of the time. but that's really only because Gnar is usually permaban and made it through here for Flares. Can be a rough matchup versus Aurelia.
Well, like you said last game, that trifecta of Rumble, Gnar, and Maokai, burning the tree down, that kind of deal, or chopping him down with Gnar's fan maybe. But I mean, it's good to see a different matchup, and Aurelia, is popular, and she does a great job. I mean, what do you look at for Flares versus IKNU in this matchup up top?
I would expect to see Flares win it out early on, but you're trying for different things. Gnar wants to combo the team with a lot of CC, whereas IKNU's Aurelia is just going to look to dive the back line, bust open some AD carries, and really make a big impact that way. And now talking about back in the ban phase, this is our second round of the bans here in the Captain's Draft, so both teams will get a couple more bans. You get one there for Enemy. You can see that used on a Lucian, just because when you do go for, when you avoid picking a certain role in your first 3 picks, you make it very, very susceptible to some pretty decent bans. You can see with the Corki picked up for Enemy, now they're just banning out everything that you could possibly play against that lane, which is already strong early.
Right, and especially with the Lucian, he's just been a fantastic early player, just with the burst, the double pistol, passive. I mean, it's an incredible AD carry. So we're gonna see who Enemy's gonna have to pick to face off against that.
Yeah, now finally finishing off the bans, you can see a Nidalee ban for Inox. Kind of surprising to see him draw that. While the mid lane Nidalee might be something that he's comfortable with, not really the pick you're looking for. And the real pick that I see going through here that didn't get banned out is his Azir.
Yeah.
It's an incredibly strong champion. I know I was talking to Bjergsen before he was supposed to play it at IEM, and I think he actually got asked in chat one time I was watching his streams, like, who's the go-to champ? And he's like, dude, Azir is really broken. And while that may be true, it may not be true, it is a pick that is still very strong, and specifically for Inox. It's what he's been practicing most.
Right. And it's interesting. We were just talking about the fiddlesticks in the meta. I mean, that's a very interesting ban. I mean, do you really think that Kaka would have gone with a move like that?
What's interesting is that with the first 3 jungle bans banned against Odd Orange by Enemy, you're trying to limit the jungle picks. But then he gets a good one. Now all of a sudden you're like, uh-oh, we might have taken too much away from the jungle because what's Cat Guy going to play? I would say Elise is right at the top of the tier list. Not a lot of Elise play out there, at least not from what I've seen. I saw her a couple times, but it's primarily going to be at least anything really with sustain. You can go with things like just having to make sure that Lee Sin is still banned.
Yeah, he is.
Definitely, first ban out there. So not a lot of choices there.
Similar to Lee Sin's movement, abilities. There we have a LeBlanc here pick for mid.
Wait a second. This
Kale.
is a Kale pick coming in. And while we've seen Kale kind of oscillate between top lane and mid lane previously, this is a jungle Kale. And I remember first seeing this, I think it was Keed Stars that played it in Brazil. And then I was, that afternoon, I was watching a Turkish tournament, and I saw, who was it? It was the jungler Crystal on... I forget who it was. It's like the top Turkish team up there. He was playing a jungle Kale, and I was like, wait a second. I'm not sure. It was Dark Passage. And he was playing jungle Kale. I was like, wait a second. 2 junglers in the same day, both playing jungle Kale.
What are they in Turkey? And
then all of a sudden you see it busted out at major tournaments. You're like, all right, there's something to this. One of the stronger picks now, they changed the way that Hunter's Machete works. Now it actually has a damage over time ability, which has the benefit for ranged champions at re-aggroing camps, so you can kite them back and soft reset them, so you don't actually take all that much jungle or all that much damage. Previously, you had to play like a jungle Twitch or a jungle Teemo that had like the damage over time to keep soft resetting the camps, but now the item does it for you. And Kale, a lot of area of effect when you turn on that Righteous Fervor, so maybe a good pick here, and certainly a good pick versus champions like LeBlanc, like Pantheon, that are looking to jump on you and do a lot of heavy burst damage.
Yeah, definitely, and we see all the switches coming over from compLexity here. Finally settling in for Madri Baby is Graves, so that's a pretty solid choice against Corki.
Yeah,
he's
not
been
at
getting
all a bad
big in the
pick
meta.
there. Especially when you combo that with the sustain from Nami, it's most likely going to be a wash there. Not a whole lot of burst opportunities, although squishiness early on is something that both AD carries can take a chunk out
always.
of.
Well, that's why they have to be carried in the beginning, believe it or not.
Well said. Anyway,
no, thank you. It took a lot of brains up there to figure that out.
Last pick coming out here is going to be a
wow.
I did see a Katarina game on Inox's account. Of course, he's also been playing like a lot of Zero, like I said, a lot of Zed out there too. So interesting to see that locked in Katarina, very team comp specific AP carry, just because. Katarina never really plays against her lane opponent. Katarina, as you know, guys like Scar and a lot of other cat mains will tell you, you don't really pick Katarina to win your lane.
No.
You pick it to win games. In team fights, the reset mechanic just incredibly strong. But you need a team to combo that with. And one way to keep your cat alive when she dives into the fight is with an intervention. You've also got flares for area of effect crowd control, and with a lot of silencing coming out of body drop, could just be the team comp.
I have to tell you, sorry for interrupting.
All right.
I'm already excited for the intervention to Cat's ult. It is just, it's incredible. When you max it out, it's 3 seconds, and that's just as long as that goes for Cat's ult. I mean, that can be literally like just
if you really want a Katarina comp, you go with like a Morgana support, because then you put a black shield on top of the intervention, and you're like, well, I can't damage her, can't crowd control her, and all my team's dying. That's a big question mark. So it is not quite that devastating. You do have a lot of silence coming out.
Yeah, I do love just the Kayle jungle. I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about it all game. I'm a big fan of Kayle, mid or top, whatever works, whatever's open. But, I mean, jungle, I'm just excited as everyone is, I'm sure, to watch this. Really kind of start to penetrate the American the league here. Yeah,
definitely a lot of that going on. We're about to hop into the game, so give us a little bit of time to load in. Excited to see our last series of the night. I'm really hyped for Enemy eSports. Got a lot of fans behind them, and a new complexity roster coming together, kind of bring the best of both teams. Also something exciting to watch among many other things that we'll have to talk about here tonight. So we're going to go ahead and jump into the game here as soon as humanly possible. It will be up on our screens. Just trying to get that out there. Not sure exactly what the delay is, but we'll get some updates on that. Other things to talk about, like not just the teams, but we also have a few other teams coming out in this season of NACL. We were already talking about the Final 5 hype. Well, that kind of got derailed a little bit when ManCloud came into the picture. And similarly, we got another LCS player in Inox actually playing here tonight on Enemy. Maybe bringing the same sort of like, hey, I used to be an LCS, but I'm still really good. That's what ManCloud proved, and now we're looking to see if Inox can show the same thing.
Yeah, and I mean, certainly the emphasis is going to be on this team composition here. If Katarina can stay alive to do enough damage, and I think Inox is definitely not going to go quietly into the night in this game against a pretty worthy opponent here. Despite, do you think the teamwork's going to be an issue for complexity this game because of the joining of the two rosters? Do you think I mean, they got to be new, right?
Exactly, and that's one of the things that actually plagued complexity during their NALCS expansion tournament run. Primarily, the rosters were put together relatively not a lot of time between the formation of the rosters and the actual tournament, and you could really tell a lot of times the coordination of teams that had been together a lot longer really helped them against complexity. And so kind of doing the same thing, forming a new team, not necessarily something that's going to inspire a lot of team synergy, take some time to build up, but at the same time, a lot of these players have actually played together before. A lot of complexity white represented here. I think maybe 3 or 4 out of 5 of complexity white here, and then of course some complexity black members there as well. And the big mystery, of course, is Odd Orange. Kind of added some Odd Orange to the complexity soup, stirred it around. And we'll see how his Pantheon works out after being so heavily banned, 3 jungle bans, and he's still got a Pantheon, which is a great play.
And I mean, and Rengar and Jarvan the 4th and Fiddlesticks. I mean, I really loved the Kayle pick. I mean, I'm going to keep talking about it, but Pantheon too. I mean, the teleporting ult just into anywhere that is needed, it's so beneficial, and I would love to see level 2 Dragonsteel. I don't know about you.
Well, I level 2 wild possible, probably not very probable. There's so many different ways to counter that out. If you just see Pantheon trying it, you literally just like walk in his general direction. Maybe a soft breeze blows and Pantheon just dies. So incredibly risky. Shouldn't be seen at least at this caliber of play, but you never know. It's always something you have to watch out for.
Definitely. Well, as we get things underway, we'll just keep on chatting about these teams over here.
And like we said, should have the game coming up in not too long. Have a lot of A lot of okay, yeah, we're bringing it up here, and
There we go.
as the spectator delay ticks down. Excited for these games tonight, and keep in mind NACL will be broadcasting every single day, of the week that's left, with the exception of Friday.
Yeah.
Which is basically only 2 more days.
So tomorrow and the next day, and this is our first day as well here. So
it's true. We're kind of getting things together. As new teams, new rules, new casters. So.
Yeah.
It's exciting for me, and especially when it comes to NACL, it's good to have another season back underway. While things may have been a little bit rough today, looking for even better time coming your way through the rest of the season. Of course, this is just day number 1. So in case you guys are new to the schedule, of course it is a new season with a new schedule. It's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday this week, next week, and then with the grand final being held on December 31st. So having a New Year's Bash, flying out the top 3 team to battle it out for $15,000 in prizes. And it's going to be a great way to spend your New Year's. And if you are here in the San Jose area and would like to come watch that live, it's going to be a great opportunity for you to come visit here at the AFK Gamers Lounge. So we're actually going to cut to music here in just a second.
Take a little break here, and we'll be back with the game streaming for you live in just a couple moments. Thank you so much. We have the game loading up for you now, just finishing up here. Sorry for the brief delay. Game had to load.
Yeah, we're getting into the game, and game number 1 of a best-of-3 series is going to be coming your way. And exciting things to talk about this game. We have new rosters for both teams. This roster for Enemy Esports is temporary, so just trying it out and seeing a couple of big question marks. Primarily going to be the move of Cat God from a lane he was already so dominant in the top lane, moving to the jungle. Seeing how his jungle Kale, still a very new pick to the jungle, works out. And of course, Inox in the mid lane, going to be another big question mark on Katarina. Not only just not a champion that you see all that often, but a new lane for him to try to show his skills.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. We have, players are still loading in here, but yeah, I mean, it's going to be, compLexity is going to be showing off all their skills here, and so is Enemy. I mean, I have not seen a lot of these guys play together, so I'm really curious to see how the general, I mean, we can talk about team compositions all day, but how those players interact in the end is going to obviously determine the game. So we'll have that for you as soon as the game is underway.
Yep, there you go, 15 seconds in base to buy, and everybody's coming out. I'm pretty sure I saw some invisible champions buying items there. We're just getting a little bit ahead of the game. But at least for right now, we're back out onto the Rift for our second series of the night. If you guys are fans of Enemy Esports and want to see lots of spam, lots of Craigasms for these guys, I'm super excited because what is so cool about Enemy is that I want to say they just never give up. Even in a lot of their games where they were crushingly behind, they still fight it out. And now with new picks, there's a lot of new things to watch out for. And ooh, Golden Glue going very aggressive. This is not going to be a happy time for Nox here. This is really going to test how he works out against difficult mid lane matchups in the new lane that he is in now.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, new to the lane. We'll see how that happens. I think Golden Glue would be considered a pretty adept mid player.
Oh yeah, yeah, no question about that. And while he's never really made his mark, as one of the most dominant mid laners in North America, almost any time any team needs a sub, they go to Golden Glue. He subbed in for Dignitas most notably, where he put up some big numbers. I believe Zed and Lux were the champions he played back then. But now he's on a little bit of a different champion, and a very meta one in LeBlanc. And while she no longer has that sigil of silence, the Malice is very malicing. It does a lot of damage.
For lack of a better word.
Exactly, and it has a lot of wave clear, which is something a lot of mid laners may be lacking a little bit with some of the mana regen changes.
Yeah, and here we have iKennyU is hate, but we will refer to him as iKennyU. We'll see how his Aurelia pans out. Excuse me, Aurelia. And, Minions of Clash, game is underway. Game 1 of a best-of-3 series between Enemy eSports and compLexity eSports.
All right, so starting things out, I feel like we should, nothing really happens too eventfully in the beginning of the game, so it's a lot like watching golf. If we were to commentate it as golf, it'd be like watching, let me put my really close to watching the top lane, the majestic Gnar approaches his opponent. Yeah, so no, that's the reason we don't cast like that. Cause,
I believe I saw that blade of grass go.
Many blades of grass blowing in the wind. Blades of grass in a golf game, you've probably got a big problem on your hands. They didn't do their job mowing the night before.
Yeah, or Tiger Woods is one of the other.
That too. So at least for the time being, glad it's a little bit more action-packed here. And right as I said, of course, nothing really happening except for Mabry, baby. This time playing on Josh Mabry. You guys probably know this guy is impactful. At least that's where he made the most impact in the challenger scene, playing a lot of different rosters.
Pretty big personality, that one, huh?
Yeah, the name we were given for the roster was Mabry Baby. He's playing on Josh Mabry now, so any one of the above, you guys are a big fan. I'm sure he has a lot of those out there, then just know they're all the same person. He also played on an account named Demon Lol, but the L in the end of that was actually an I, so it was Demon Louie. So maybe you guys have heard of him under that name too. Either way, a lot of heavy trades in the bottom lane, which is sort of like, beating your you put on boxing gloves just to keep things safe, and then you try to punch a brick wall. It's like, wow, I really didn't deal all that damage to a brick wall. That's because the wall in the 80 carries heals itself over and over again. Heavy sustained bottom lane.
Well, both 80 carries out of a pot already. It seems like they're just hitting each other back and forth. But I think Soraka and Nami, they have a pretty similar heal between each other. So I don't see anyone going back anytime soon.
Yeah, Soraka, like Sriracha, very strong and also very, very good at what she does. Whether it's making your meal very spicy or your bottom lane very healthy. So a good way to do that, and arguably one of the strongest supports right now. Incredibly annoying to deal with, and you can just see that heavy sustain, the heavy health regeneration, all the potions, keeping that sustained advantage in favor of it.
And as we can see with the pretty conventional Gnar in the meta these days, he's being pretty aggressive here, and he might be caught out a little bit by Hate and or iKennyU here.
Whoa, good blade surge in there. I expected iKennyU to go keep going a little bit more aggressively. And the struggle in this melee versus range matchup is that, the ranged player gets to go, tee-hee, I just hit you with an auto attack and then run away and feel really good about himself.
Especially Gnar,
Especially Gnar. So cute until you realize how annoying he is. But this is something that iKennyU is actually dealing very well with, not afraid to go in for those early aggressive trades.
Yeah, definitely. It looks like he may have some help from Odd Orange here if he gets that flash. Oh, flash to a jump. Stun. There it is. Can he get out of here with the Mega?
There. Players might actually be able to pick this up. First blood for Odd Orange. After getting so heavily banned out in the early phase, still coming up with first blood.
We are seeing a lot, even at day one, a lot of focus on killing that Gnar top lane first. Just really, beating him down a little bit. Oh, here's some aggression here from Mabry. Let's see if he can get out of this alive.
Is exhausted, so a little bit less.
Ignite is proc.
Ticking down, not going to be enough. And so both AD carries just narrowly surviving. Still a win in that bottom lane for compLexity.
I don't think Soraka had the damage to finish that anyways.
Yeah, you never really look towards your supports for the big, hard-hitting last hits, although...
Yeah. Hey, AD carry Thresh, it happens.
Well, it's true, and now a gank coming bottom lane.
Oh,
Kale
the slow.
Effect. Silence gets the root off as well.
Oh, does he have the range for the flash?
One more auto attack, and Cat God, new to his position, picks up first blood for his own team. So, big plays by both junglers, pre-level 6 kills coming off from both sides, and exciting time to be in the new jungle, a new jungler Cat God.
See with Kale, when you can pop that movement speed into the slow, into your range magic attack, it is hard, and I think he kind of got caught out of position there. He was almost under his turret, but he didn't quite get there in time for the safe back.
Yeah, close, but not close enough.
Nope.
League of Legends, not League of Horseshoes, unfortunately, so that close would be good enough. But
Yes.
now at 1-1, scores and gold, turrets, everything, even across the board, it's just about where you have those advantages. Top lane, the first kill onto flares, really not that, for the lack of a better word, impactful at turning that lane around or really giving an advantage.
I think impact might be the word of the game, especially with Nar's fist going right into
Against
iKenny's
the
face.
Gnar,
Against the wall.
That is too much damage for iKenny.
Oh,
It actually flashed the
flashes.
boulder.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very good ability to predict exactly what Nar's going to. I mean, he's only got one move left, but
All of a sudden,
great
Cat God
timing.
having smote away the Razorback camp, using that buff to be able to figure out some more coverage. Nox doing a good job at actually dodging away from most of the damage that Golden Glue's trying to put out. He actually mimics that distortion in to deal a little bit extra damage. Nox able to avoid most of it.
yeah, just like with this Golden Glue Nox combo middle, not a lot happening there. The jungles look to be preoccupied with other things, and it's just a fight for CS, and I mean it's pretty even. It's within 2 each. I mean all the CSs really. I mean you could make the case for Flames. Flares, excuse me, out CSing iKenny, but I mean it's a 10 minute difference. Not really that big of a deal. Everything again is pretty much even.
Oh, Golden Glue going in, lands one chain. Is he gonna go for the second? Does
Ignite
hit the
pop.
second. Double lockdown. There's Auto Orange for his second kill of the game.
Great job from Odd Orange. Good presence with the Pantheon, knowing exactly where to be. Because I think Nox would have got away with that one.
Yeah, definitely, especially if he had had Cat God there, who is now level 6, has an intervention. Low now onto iKenny. He's got those transcendent blades, but probably a little bit more existential than anything else. Gets hit by a rock, taken down. There's flares for his first kill of the game.
Great job there. Almost ran into the guys coming middle. We had Golden Glue having a cleared lane as well as Odd Orange. They were moving up, and I think iKenny was really trying to sustain until they could get there and maybe have a Panth pounce and a LeBlanc, teleport in, but it didn't quite work out for that.
I always kind of wondered. I have like 2,000 games of Aurelia, and every single one of them, I wonder why on earth her ultimate is called Transcendent Blades. Like, I've read my fair share of Walden, and I'm just like, what about Transcendentalism can you apply to this one? So,
half the time I feel like they're just trying to make up something really cool. And
I mean, it is really cool. It's a mission accomplished in that area.
Well, speaking of great names for ults, I mean, we were talking about Graves last time. It really isn't. It really isn't a right name for his ultimate there. It's not like you're trying to hit someone else and then the ult hits the other person.
However, as far as the champion name, he does do his fair share at killing people and putting them in graves. So at least that's a little bit more relevant. Continual aggression attempted there by Golden Glue, but man, you got to give some mad props to Nox. He's built very, very defensively early on. And you can see just the effect that's happening on his lane phase. Only about 8 CS behind. Doing a great job for a range versus melee matchup that should go very far in favor of Golden Glue.
And speaking of Golden Glue, it looks like he may have picked up blue buff from Odd Orange, so we'll see a lot more activity from the middle lane. But
and right as you say that, goes in for more engagement. So this is especially going to be a very, very difficult time for Nox. It's when Golden Glue is going to have a lot of early power from the spell penetration off his shoes.
Double Doran rings there for the extra, like you said, early aggression. But I think, in a way, Nox kind of knows that's coming and is definitely going to...
Oh, but now Auto Orange could be in a really big problem spot. There's the ult, and Cat God really going in for his second kill of the game. And Nox just there for kind of moral support. Like, I'm going to deal the damage. Hands off to Cat God.
So as a Kale jungle, what would you recommend, I mean, after this Dragon, of course, a second item for him? What do you think? Is he going to go with a pretty standard Nash's suit build with Kale? Get that attack speed?
You used to go Nash's suit, but that was primarily for a lane-based Kale.
Right.
And now you want to go for probably like a Zonya's Hourglass. You can even just build a lot of tank items. Kale, one of those champions that is mostly for, you get the utility of her ultimate, you got slow coming in as well. And if you want to build damage, you certainly can, but eventually, and especially as it comes down later and later in the game, which we may not be able to talk about quite yet, and Nox going to take one chain, take a second, and it's actually going to get the extra boost from that sigil.
Well, good thing she had that magic resistance there, ready to see that coming, and she's just going to go ahead and stand underneath the tower, ready and waiting for a possible gank from gank from Cat God. Looks like a signaling for something. We'll see what happens. Oh, and that it's quickly dispersed here.
That's a really good roam from players down to not only clear out some ward coverage, but also just say, hey, there's not a lot I can do top lane. He's in a little bit, he'd already, won his lane to the extent that he shoved it out, and then walking down, clearing out a ward, and taking a little bit of pressure off of Nox just by showing his face, pushing Auto Orange away.
It is, you're right to say that stalemate top, it's bound to not really tip in one person or another's favor. It's going to stay pretty standard here, just again picking up as much CS as possible until things are needed. Of course, we have Flares here with one more kill than iKennyU, but I don't think that makes a huge difference as far as laning power is concerned up top. Again, game's pretty even. Enemy eSports up by 1 kill and 0.5k gold. They are the ones with the Dragon. I believe that's what gave them the extra boost in gold, although not as much as the old Dragon. We'll see if that 8% damage scales well, and if compLexity can really come back and get that Dragon again.
And you got to give some persistent credit here to iKennyU, putting on the aggression, but now transformation in Mega Gnar form and Gnar against the wall, kind of showing people his boss.
Interesting, backing up immediately there. What do you think about that? He's really, I think that just really is analogous to the stalemate up top. He knows if he pursues Aurelia, she's gonna do nothing but just sit beneath that tower.
Yeah, and it's really weird because Gnar in Mega Gnar form has a completely different strategy when you're in Mini Gnar. Whoa, there's the engage, channeling.
Well, which LeBlanc is it? It's always the issue.
Yeah, and
looking for some help, maybe from top. We have
bottom lane, not a damage. Otter trading it right back and has body drop there for the same, but the
looks
dives
like
top
there
lane.
it is.
Forces a flash. There's the hop forward. Will we get the hyper procs that we need? Last one.
Oh,
no.
nope.
Not gonna get that third tick, and of course he does have Auto Orange there. Golden Blue mostly there for moral support. Very, very low himself.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to be able to take the tower here. Not quite a big enough minion bubble here. Oh, but we could have a clash of jungles for the first time this game. Oh, just nope, maybe not.
Yeah, think about the tri-brush, like, not worth it.
No, could be a vision issue of going around that bush. I wouldn't want to jump into a Pantheon, blind push a Pantheon.
Well, yeah, you also don't want to just like face checking. Generally a bad idea.
Generally.
Wouldn't recommend it. Famous last words of a lot of supports. I was just warding as they face check a bush only to die.
And that tower will go down, the first of the game for enemy eSports. Again, not the biggest deal, but objectives are more important than kills. We will wait to see our first Pantheon ult, and perhaps something can happen here as the Dragon begins to come up again in the next couple minutes.
Now, one of the big questions we were asking ourselves before this game was, what are these new junglers going to show us tonight? Cat God new to the role, Auto Orange new to the team as a jungler, but you can already see both of them incredibly effective, and that's not something I could have expected, just given the fact that this is an entire new roster for compLexity, and while it's kind of made up of their old teams, you're never sure exactly how they're going to work together. For the time being, we're still kind of stuck in the lane phase, but Golden Glue having trouble just keeping this Katarina down. You can even see Inox actually having forced him out of lane once already.
Yeah, the only thing I can see happening is Graves maybe being able to do enough damage. He is one death behind, but he does have a slightly better attacking build. Of course, we're going to see from Corki and from Otter that Trinity Force build that has become so custom for Otter.
And a lot of trades there. Otter, you'd expect that Nami would actually make him stronger. Otter's loving to swim in things like
here's a
tidal
Pantheon ult.
Coming down on top of there, gets immediately silenced. Still able to walk out of it, put a lot of damage up on the body drop, the collateral damage. Coming down a bubble, will land onto Otter, but the rest of his team didn't trust him. They should have been like, all right, we know he's got the bubble. Ooh, Otter Valkyrieing forward, knows there's a teleport.
Coming inside.
Back in, big one hits on to
Oh, against the wall.
Nar against there. And
can he finish it?
Oh my gosh, so close. Otter flashing in. There's one kill.
Oh, can he get two? No, looks like he's going to get caught. There's two. And the triple three.
Though. Oh, baby, a triple.
Oh, but
Otter
trades with iCanYou for the double. Great presence there, good communication as a team from compLexity Sports. This new team just TP down here, help me out. I'm in trouble.
Man,
but
Golden Glue could be in a rough spot. Throws out the damage, goes back in it. That could have been a really bad idea. There's only so much you can send your clone to run away from the Nox. And that's going to be another mid lane turret going down.
2-0, but I have to backtrack a little bit and give that play with the Pantheon ult coming in across the map to Lolpally, with that perfect tip of the wave, was able to catch body drop slightly out of position, and Pantheon jumped on him for a quick kill, starting that entire bottom lane trouble.
Yeah, exactly. It's how to gank the bottom lane starter kit. First you throw in a lot of global ultimates,
and then you
teleport all your champions down in the bottom lane, and then you just kill everything. It's like the Hamlet lane. You know everything's going to die.
Towers, doesn't matter. What you go for it. And that's exactly what Enemy and compLexity both did, coming out relatively even, again 6-5 in Enemy eSports' favor.
And now we've already seen 2 towers go down, but as far as global objectives are concerned, we're still looking for that dragon coming up
the
next.
The entire team middle lane here for compLexity. I think they're going to go ahead and try to take this tower or not. No? Little indecisiveness here. They kind of don't know what's going on. They don't know who's where. And
back off,
there's the
back off. And one of the reasons that they were so hesitant is exactly what we just saw. Cat God was doing the dragon the entire time.
And I mean, not only that, but you can see the indecisiveness towards the dragon, the indecisiveness towards the tower. Do you think that maybe could have been a lack of vision? I don't understand that decision made as a team.
Well, it's a little bit like when all those Scooby-Doo villains say, "I would have gotten away with it too if it weren't for you kids and your meddling dog." Well, this is what happens when you don't have kids or a meddling dog.
I would have gotten away with it if Cat God didn't go Kale Jungle.
Exactly. Only Cat God did get away with it.
Yes.
No kids or meddling dogs there to stop it. So it took the dragon, and that'll be a good start to picking up, or a good start to, I guess, keeping the enemy down. I was meaning to say they're continuing on their global objective of trail. They're not just like tunneling on kills. They're saying, hey, bigger picture matters. Dragons, turrets, it's all going their way.
I don't know about how you play, but I like to set a lot of creep score goals as time goes on.
Whoa!
And looking,
Gnar against the wall.
Right into the wall. Let's see if they can finish on Golden Blue. Looks like they're going to...
Transcendent play. It's not transcendental enough. Immediate ultimate there onto a Nox. Can he turn this around? Picks up one
tower.
Kill. Where's the reset? Might be looking for a little bit more.
Perfect flash timing. Great job done.
Yeah, that intervention that onto a Nox
could have been a lot worse. I tell you what, though, that body drop ultimate really, Soraka ultimate really helps from all the way across the map.
Yeah, exactly. Never could you really use a wish right then. That's exactly what Soraka gives.
There it is.
So a push up the mid lane doesn't result in the kill of a turret. I really love that regenerating shield that comes out to everybody who's defending the turret. Helps defend it maybe a little bit better.
It is a good buff added to the game. I really like it. It does make that second tier tower a lot harder to kill. Again, going back to my previous point, we see a little bit of creep score going in Flares' favor. I'm sure that won't affect him too much, but I mean, what do you think for the build? A Frozen Mallet? That's not too popular of an
40
item.
CS is nothing to scoff at, but I'm trying to think of the last professional game I saw a first item Frozen Mallet in.
Right.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. Maybe you see Frozen Mallets eventually on champions like Gnar, big tanks that want to have a little bit more crowd control in team fights, but it just doesn't happen. What does happen is it knocks poor. It knocks no silence.
Oh, good.
Quick ward jump.
Good ward jump there. I mean, do you think maybe he's just trying to balance between the tankiness that Gnar is so used to using and then the attack that he's, also so great at balancing? Like, do you think he's trying to find that middle ground with the Frozen Mallet?
I'll never forget. I mean, when you see a Frozen Mallet, you're just thinking to yourself, all right, what do you want to accomplish with that? And if the answer is buying a terrible item, then sure, mission accomplished.
Yeah, easy.
But the slows from the auto attacks are going to be effective, and one thing that Gnar has always been very strong on is getting continual auto attacks, proccing them with a boomerang, and continuing that hyper speed that he gets from it to keeping a great way of chasing somebody down. Frozen Mallet makes it all that more effective. And really all Gnar needs is tank stats on top of tank stats. It does a ton of damage anyway. Maybe not the best first item in 5, but still one that will be very effective. And I've already seen it be very effective, turned around a relatively bad lane phase into still having a lot of presence in team fights.
Speaking of trying to make the best of both worlds, we have Inox here going with an Abyssal Scepter.
Look at what he's doing to Kenny. Kenny just can't do anything. He's going to get a nice stun out there, but will this regenerating shield give him enough? No! Last auto attack for as much hate. We do get that item. Kenny having a little bit of hate for it himself. It gets taken down, just can't run away.
Coming in.
Holy
wow. Whoa. Wow, maybe the Frozen Mallet is a great first item.
Valkyrie
damn
on
it.
top of it, but what on earth? Otter is just like, I don't know, they just like dump the enemy team in there. He's like him on his belly. Whatever otters do, the answer is apparently just kill everybody. 5, 1, and 2.
And you can see that with Flair's ability to TP to the bottom lane. He's got 6 assists. Obviously looking at the stats, you have to see that most of those come from Otter and his ability to be in the right place at the right time. The ability for both of them to be in the right place at the right time. And I mean, turning cognitive gaming, sorry, not cognitive, complexity eSports.
Cat God microing himself underneath the turret. Next level positioning there, still winds up dying. Big surprise there, not really, as top turret will fall, or middle turret rather. I was like, is that the right lane? Players bouncing over the walls, got that frozen mallet, you just can't run, and there's one kill. The frozen mallet slow coming out this time on the low belly blast. The rocket coming in, and Otter, the wet keep getting wetter. 7-1 and 2, he's pretty happy about that.
Yes, he's probably flapping his fins around for that one. 7-1 and 2 as.
Fins? I think that palms.
Oh, is it seals have fins? The seals are the
right.
I always make that mistake actually. Awful. But nonetheless, Otter or Seal, Corky is an effective AD carry and looks like he's going to go in for an. Oh, it was just the mirror image.
Just the clone.
Brutal.
Yeah, with every skin, you kind of got to watch out for which clone is which. If it's slightly redder, then it's going to be the clone here. Yes. Sometimes it fools even the observer.
Takes a very keen eye to be able to know that difference.
It's true. For the casting challenge, I like to cast with my eyes closed, so that way I don't know that there is a clone.
So you just completely go off of what I'm saying, and then that's
true. It's like the next level difficulty, like casting on a hard one.
Yeah.
Of course, with our eyes open, it's easy to see that enemy starting to pull away just a little bit, and while we did have a little bit of a difficulty top lane for Flares, maybe it's the power of that frozen mallet turning it around.
Yeah, perhaps, and with the Randuin's Omen, he's definitely going into full slow and like hit me and you're slow. I'll hit you and you'll be slowed. It's the trifecta, the 360, and I think he's only going to do better by it. He might not get more kills above that 3, but he'll definitely get more assists.
Well, he doesn't even have to get any kills. When you look at the rest of his team, 7-1 and 2, Otter in multiple ways ahead of the game. 7 kills and really all the itemization you could ever want. Some Corkies like to go the Blade of Cain build. I'm not a big fan of that. When you want more just straight up damage, especially if you're getting the Sorcerer's Shoes, you want more damage off your magic damage, your poke, your phosphorus bomb and stuff. And rockets, well, they scale off AD too.
Yeah, and there's, speaking of scaling, there's 3 dragons in a row here. I really have to give a shout out to Inox, who's playing a really conservative cat here. I think he's really waiting to flourish in that late game. We have yet to see a Kale, I think, in a big team fight, or maybe we've missed it. I mean, definitely looking forward to seeing what is to come. But just like we were talking about last time, it does look like jungling Cat God is going to go Nashor's Tooth with this Kale, so perhaps he is going a less tanky route. Oh, and there is Lol Pally just completely caught out there, and Inox definitely not holding back with his ultimate there.
Yeah. Like I said, famous last words of a lot of supports is, I was just warding. Says if that gives you the ability to be invincible when you face check.
I wish.
Yeah, as a support player sometimes myself, I feel the same struggles, only a lot more often. That's the 4th death, though, for Lil Pally, so clearly having some continual issues.
Yeah, and as they attack this turret, I don't think the minion crowd's going to be big enough. The turret is pretty low, though, but they don't have enough. And here comes Odd Orange. Maybe he's going to make a move. No, but we'll see as the team goes and teams up with Flares. They'll definitely take this tower down. That's 6-0 in towers. That's, I mean, we talk about kills, yeah. We talk about gold, yeah. But 6-0 to towers. There's definitely a turn.
Well,
here.
The name of the game is just objective control. Okay, with gold and blue, that's one way to escape the frozen mallet. So mid lane, you gotta watch out. Just I don't know.
7-0 towers.
Exactly. There's more turrets coming. There's the inhibitor about to fall as well. But nice defense here. for all of you guys from Idaho, you know what it's like to plant your potatoes. Well, enemy, they're planting rotatoes all over the map. They were able to, go mid, then fake top lane, come back mid. They're split pushing. They're shoving down turrets.
Looks like they're gonna backdoor this 8th tower of the game, 8 in a row.
Whoa! Wait, what was that gnarl? I don't know about that, but pulling him backwards. Mabry though is in the back line. He's tanking things, or he's kiting things very, very well. But can Flares use that frozen mallet? Inox picking things off from the back line. Low Valley's finally gonna go down with one last auto attack. You're gonna see the shutdown. They're coming Otter's way. He's gonna finish this off with. Was that the 11th kill? Something crazy. 8th kill.
8th kill. Can I Kenny you? Oh, maybe they can. Not just like Kenny you, but Odd Orange in there as well. I think they. Oh wow!
Okay,
that
nice.
There goes the turnaround there.
We talked about a path that he was playing early on. Not anymore. He and Otter are just destroying your 18-9, doubling up their opponents, crushing through this game. 25 minutes in, they've already taken 2 inhibitors.
Yeah. Well, with the respawning team coming back for
Wait,
Cat
what?
God.
Okay.
Oh!
It's a surrender bonus. Like,
wow.
This is a next level play we're about to see there.
I did not see that coming. Well, definitely an anticlimactic end to a very, very interesting and exciting game here. A lot of mistakes made, a lot of good things done. What do you think?
I'm beginning to feel like a cat god. In the jungle is a good place for him to be. Showed his strength previously in the top lane and still making just as many role, but still just a stronger performance.
Yeah, I agree. And it wasn't a dominant performance. Certainly that can only be reserved to Corky down under in the bottom lane. But otherwise, he did everything needed. I mean, with only 3 dragons, no Baron, it was an efficiently won game based on, pretty much towers alone.
And I gotta say, as far as the roster changes go, the big thing that we were watching as well was Inox up in the top lane. It was how does he gonna do off of that role swap? And while he wasn't like the hard carry, he definitely had a lot of those big wombo combo opportunities. That he was able to go in. So, and I got to give an honorable mention, new to the team of Enemy and trying out was Flares in the top lane. His somewhat transcendent frozen mallet first build. I don't know what it's going to take to buy a Narban out here. It used to be permaban, but he's making it through, and he's still very, very strong.
Well, I think that he may be banned next game. That was just a dominant support performance. So...
Looks like we're going to go into a replay to finish off the game. We finally got it queued up, so we're going to go ahead and hit play on that. Let me go ahead and walk you through exactly what's about to happen. So Otter is defending this turret 1v3, and this is where things start to go a little bit bad for compLexity. You can already see the teleport coming in. Flare's looking to make his mark down on the top lane, and look at this star. He flashes in 3-man gnarled against the wall. Follows it up with a crunch, and there's the Valkyrie. It's like as if we needed more area of effect damage. Otter Valks in for the double. At this point, you start to realize, wait a second, this wombo combo is a little bit more effective than we otherwise thought. Just how much more can you see one champion completely change the tide of this team
And that was definitely the turning point of the game here. You couldn't ask for more AoE pressure and damage, from a Gnar like that. That was near perfect play. The teleport, immediately jumping, immediately ulting, the Gnar. Just incredible.
Exactly. It's kind of difficult. It's like, are you talking about the ult, the champion?
Yeah, that's
both at the same time.
Trying to make a play on that. I'm getting better with jokes, I promise.
Well, you picked a bad person to learn from.
Yeah.
Well, either way, we're actually going to go ahead and head off to a quick commercial break. This is our second series of the night, but it's not over just yet. Got 1, possibly 2 games coming as we finish out this best-of-3 series. The NACL winter season will be back. We'll return right after a short commercial break. Stick around. Back, ladies and gentlemen, to our second game in our second series of the night. My name is Rapid. With me is Chase, and we're hopping into a series that, I don't know, has a lot of new things out there on the roof, but the same old things are just as strong. Great performance by Enemy eSports in the first game.
Really, really great job. And I don't think there was a lot of issues with complexity. Just Enemy was so dominant. Just every tower, one turned into 8 within a matter of about 15 minutes. It was a surrender at 26 minutes. Final score 18-9 as far as kills in Enemy's favor. What do you think fares for complexity this game? How do you think they're going to make a comeback as far as not only momentum, but just also taking control of the entire map?
Well, one thing I did really like from complexity it was as far as their top lane was concerned, iKennyU definitely knew what he was doing. The only problem is I don't know if he underestimated that frozen mallet power, what was going on. Just overall much better teleport usage early on. The Gnar, I don't know what that thing was. It was a monster.
Literally a monster.
And the thing that's confusing is that like Gnar used to be permaban top lane. Like you'd never get to see a Gnar, and that's why Irelia and Maokai were kind of staples up there for the longest time. But just one tiny nerf, and people stopped banning Gnar. And keep in mind that we're using the captain's draft format in this season of NACL, so there are even more bans. We squeak in a little bit of Gnar ban in there. Incredibly effective game number 1 by players.
Definitely. So we're looking to definitely see Mabry come in at 80 carry and hopefully take control of the game, unlike Otter did with his Corki. It was really impressive play. Just I don't know if it was the support by Flares or even the support by Body Drop, but it was just a great game for him. And I really hope that there's more of a contest for bottom lane or just a tower in general.
There was a big discrepancy down there, and to be honest, I didn't expect that performance from Otter, or there to be that big a discrepancy, because we've seen both AD carries very prominent in the challenger scene. Josh Mabry, aka Impactful, has been around for a pretty long time, and like you said, Otter, he turned complexity into like a clam or something. He like cracked it over his little belly, utilizing the more powerful version of clicking on somebody instead of using auto attacks. He used auto attacks, and it works out a whole lot better.
And worked well with his skin too. I don't know if you noticed that. He was rolling with whatever that sea creature is underneath Corki.
Oh, that is true. Earth. He was. I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Earth's about as close as you can get into an otter in League of Legends. I don't know if there's a whole lot of similarities between manatees and otters, but I mean, both in the.
Well, that was game 1. This is game 2. The bans are starting on your screen for you. Let's just take a look over here. We have Nasus. Okay, we didn't even see a lot of him first game, and then Rengar. We see that a lot. Pretty heavy jungle ban.
Okay, apparently we might be having a few issues with the bans. Still trying to see exactly which all of them are. We're pretty sure it's Lee Sin in place of Nasus, so we're just going to count that as a Lee Sin ban.
Nope.
Nasus.
There we go.
Switched it over.
That makes sense. I didn't want to start analyzing that.
I was thinking about it. I was like, wait a second. In what world do you first ban Nasus when you have 5 bans to go through? Like, either way.
Even if he was a 5th band, I'd still be a little surprised.
You gotta take care of iKennyU's Nasus. Take that now.
Those stacks, they're incredible. Late game. Be careful.
It's a much better idea to ban Lee Sin versus Odd Orange. He's incredibly well known for the champion. And honestly, after game 1, we saw 4 jungle bans in the first 6.
Definitely.
So a lot of focus towards not only Odd Orange but just in the jungle in general.
And I think that maybe even there could be less focus on Odd Orange because he jungled with a Kayle, like it's becoming a more prominent role. But I think it's safe to say that Odd Orange is comfortable with jungling with people who he's not necessarily known to jungle with.
That's right. And the idea that with more bans you can more heavily ban out one player doesn't quite work in captain mode, since you still only get 3 bans before they have a chance to pick things. You just get a few bans later on.
Yeah, I'm sure that I'm not sure, but I'll hope to see a couple different bans, maybe not so heavily on the jungles.
Yeah, we do already see 2 jungle bans. Well, we have a couple more seconds left before we lock in our next ban. It'll be interesting to see exactly what that is. I think we're actually trying to start over. There are a few issues with our initial pick and ban phase, so we're going to actually start over things just a little bit. Things apparently not working quite as smoothly. Go figure today, a few technical difficulties, but at least we can keep the stream on so you can see our beautiful faces. And we're not quite so
Exactly.
beautiful.
Yeah, I figured after the all of game one, we really, I think, had a pretty tight-knit job there. I mean, I don't think we can go more than one game without an issue, but that is no problem whatsoever.
Take what you can get.
Yeah, we're here to deal with it. We're here to talk about it, and well, I guess you'll have to paint a visual picture of what that queue is going to look like.
I'm terrible at painting. I couldn't paint to save my life.
It's called imagination.
Thankfully, yes, I can paint with my brain.
Yeah.
Who said that's League of Legends or video games was going to kill my imagination? Been using it this entire time.
Yeah, well, the imagination's become the computer, maybe. You can make that argument here.
I don't know about that. I try to make as few arguments as possible. But finally, at long last, I think we're about to get into the whole pick and ban phase. Still waiting on a little bit of an update to make sure that we have everything where it's supposed to be. It's a little bit interesting going through the new pick and ban phase, captain's mode.
Yep.
We've explained it a few times, but this is the very first broadcast of a brand new NACL winter season, so bear with us if you're saying the same thing over and over again. A lot of new viewership, and maybe people are just like, wait a second, back in my day, we only had 3 bans a team.
Back 6 months ago.
Yeah, exactly. And actually, currently, still only 3 bans. We're trying things out a little bit different. And I actually think it could add a lot of strategic diversity. That's the big hot button word we're supposed to keep saying.
Strategic diversity, yeah. Just like we're supposed to keep saying that we are at the AFK Lounge in downtown San Jose. Come check us out on December 31st for our opening night for the final of this tournament.
Exactly.
Actually, 3 finals. There's going to be a consolation final, a regular final, and then I think an even overall final after that.
Yeah, we're going to have winners, losers, and then a grand final.
Grand final, there we go. That's
all
the word
on December 31st. It's New Year's, and when you come down, we'll have the AFK Gamer Lounge. That's where we're broadcasting from right now, and hopefully getting a little bit further.
There we go.
In picks and bans, so we've got Rengar and Lee Sin still banned from the first trip through picks and bans. Now we're going to add to that an Aurelia ban versus Flares. You can see a lot of Aurelia bans because it's a common champion between the two players. I kind of you. Of course, a great Aurelia player as well. And same thing like we saw last game, no change in the ban phase for compLexity. Still targeting Odd Orange, taking away his 2 most comfort picks.
Yeah, and then again with the Vi there, well, like you just said, Odd Orange. Oh, this would be our first support besides Thresh ban, a Soraka ban. Definitely going to mix some things up in the bot lane. Hopefully, we get to see maybe some, I doubt Blitz, but Thresh pulls for some interesting combos there.
Yeah, I can almost guarantee you that you're going to see a Thresh ban here. Wait, okay, well, there's an R ban.
Oh, and that's, I mean, Flares banned, or the team that Flares is on banned it.
Yeah, so there's like, well, if we can't have it, we're not going to give it to you guys.
Yeah, because you think Kenny, you probably would have.
Yeah, and now the question becomes, like, do you pick up that Jarvan? It looks like the answer is yes. So a Jarvan the 4th coming in here, and just like last game, prioritizing the jungle pick for Odd Orange, making sure that he maybe a little bit more of a limited champion pool, does get something pretty high up on the tier list. It doesn't look like Pantheon's out there, but hey, man, that could go over to CatGod this game.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'd like to see a Pantheon on one side and on the other. Obviously, on the first side for compLexity, well, it wasn't, I think, as beneficial of a jungle pick as we would have liked to have seen. At least not as beneficial as the Kale.
Yeah, Kale actually really surprisingly strong. Got to give some props to a new pick, and not a lot of teams out there. They're still stuck playing the old meta champions, and it pays off to pick maybe a little bit of something new.
I don't know about you. I like being surprised. We're live. We're doing things. Maybe not surprises of technical difficulty, but surprises in the game that lead to more excitement. Then we can't complain. And there's that Thresh I was talking about. Oh, and he's locked in for Thresh and Corki.
Ooh.
Wow. I like that combo a lot. I don't know about you.
Now, the Thresh, as much of a champion pick for body drop as it is a pick away from low pally, no surprise there. It's one of his favorite champions, but locking that in, traditionally you'd expect to see a sustain-based bottom lane. That's what we've had pretty much in every single game. But one of the reasons you can run sustain lanes is because traditionally you want to fight small skirmishes. Like you go in, take a little bit of damage, and then heal it back up. And then you do that same thing over and over again. Well, one of the reasons you run that is because Thresh you've hopefully banned out.
Right.
Sustain, they're traditionally very squishy champions like Sona, Nami.
Right.
And if they get hooked, they tend to die pretty easily. So with Thresh in here, maybe they'll change bottom lane from being seeing a sustained battle between Nami and Soraka into something a lot more aggressive and all-in based.
Yeah, I think you're totally right. The squishiness of someone like Nami and of course Soraka's band is going to be a big factor coming into the game, and I just love seeing good hooks. I love reporting on good hooks. It's always a big fan of mine. And for Odd Orange here, obviously not necessarily for Odd Orange, but we have Lucian hovering over. They haven't quite locked in yet. We'll see how that fares. Again, Lucian not being banned, another interesting call. And Syndra, also a player who was banned last game.
A champion that was banned but for a very good reason. Yeah. Golden Glue, it's one of his strongest. Could go for a Zed here, but I believe it is going to be that Syndra locked in. Yeah. I'm actually a big fan of Golden Glue Syndra, or just Syndra in general. I don't think there's anybody out there that will tell you that Syndra is not a strong champion. One problem with picking Syndra is that she does tend to be a little bit less mobile than other mid laners. Remember seeing Faker in the OGN preseason pull out Ezreal mid. I was like, why did he go Ezreal mid? Well, one thing it does have is mobility. Exactly. One, yeah. And a good reason to pick Syndra here is because you've already taken Jarvan off the field. So you don't have to worry about the big Cataclysm ultimate, catching it with your flash down and taking it down afterwards.
Yeah. Well, we saw a very mobile mid lane last game with Cat in the middle and LeBlanc. So this could be a little bit more of a bruising, slow-going lane. I mean, I'm not sure what we're going to see coming up next. But question for you: do you think Jarvan the Fourth is going to go ahead and be that jungling player that compLexity is going to want to use?
Well, compLexity, I feel like they have a few more complex issues than that. It's almost guaranteed to go in the jungle for Odd Orange, unless Kenny's got something super cheesy up his sleeve.
With that top Jarvan the Fourth?
Yeah, interestingly enough, back when it was a more sustained meta top lane, when you used to have things like Spellvamp being a big stat, and champions like Vladimir going crazy up top lane, one of the big counter picks that people figured out was the all-in champions, and Jarvan was right up there at the top. I remember in last season of NACL, Ackerman on LMQ counterpicked Vladimir a couple times, as he might have even counterpicked Cali Trolls' Vladimir as a Jarvan, and just completely threw him in the dumpster. But like you said, it's probably going to be in the jungle.
Right.
And that means that we're still looking for a top lane champion to go up against, I keep wanting to say Inox's Rumble, because he used to be a top laner.
Yeah, there's Flares, though. Flares is the is the top here. Now you got me mixed up. Again, for our last four bans, we have Kayle and Warwick on the side of compLexity. Definitely maybe don't want to give CatGod that Kayle again. I doubt we'd see it a second time, though. And then on the other side, we have a is that a Kassadin? Yeah, a Kassadin and a Maokai. So that's taken away some top choices for IKENU.
And you can really see the effect at adding 5 bans, well, not adding 5 bans, but a total of 5 bans for both teams is having. I can't really remember the last time I saw a Maokai ban, not really one of the highest banned champions. Usually you see it picked just because you wish you had extra slots to ban it in, and well, this game you do.
Maybe that is the chance that they're going to take. And I think that Pantheon's going to move to jungle here, so we could see enemy use that Pantheon in the jungle.
Yeah, he's like, hey, let me show you how it's done. You got a chance to jungle the Pantheon. Now it's his turn. So CatGod going to bring that out in the jungle. Of course, barring any super crazy switch-ups. Maybe it's a mid lane rumble and top lane. I don't know about that.
I doubt that. I think we're going to see Body Drop pick a mid laner who's going to be comfortable against going. Well, of course, it's going to be Inox who's going against the Syndra. But we'll see what the counter pick is there.
And it looks like it's a Nami locked in. Josh Mabry, baby, going to take the sustain pick. We talked about the difference between a sustain lane and how vulnerable that is to being all in. Thresh, a great champion at making that happen, and maybe some vulnerability there.
Definitely.
With the Nami.
Yeah, especially if if Body Drop's able to drop that box quick enough before the Nami can escape, then I don't see a lot of hope unless a good bubble lands. I'm not sure.
And that's a lock-in on Katarina. So 2 cat games in a row by Inox. Not sure whether or not this is just not wanting to show a lot of his comfort champions, but it worked in game number 1. Even though he did get harassed out very heavily by LeBlanc, stayed alive, sustained through it all, built very defensively up front, and was able to still make an impact in the later game.
I think he could definitely go along the same lines of with this Syndra. Golden Glue. I don't know if he's going to play more aggressive, especially now that he knows exactly what he's going up with for the second game in a row. I don't know how it's going to pan out here.
Yeah, the biggest thing excuse me, is that is the mid lane matchup is one that you would expect Golden Glue, who has much more experience in that lane, to be able to have kind of that leg up, especially since in both games now he's played a more like long-range poke harass kind of champion versus Inox's Katarina. But the sustain has just kept him in that.
Oh.
He's very, very good at playing passively. And
interesting. Renekton.
There. Wow. Wait a sec. All right. I'm closing my eyes. I'm taking a time travel back to season 2, season 3. When it used to be like only Renekton top lane. There's actually a player named only Renekton topper. Is it solo Renekton top? It's you get the idea.
Yeah.
He's a very strong champion. If you're gonna main as a top laner, he's a good pick for a long time. But really saw him phased out of the current meta, coming back in.
I'm a little surprised by that, and I like I said, I like being surprised, and maybe you can really bring the heat there, especially against Flares and his Rumble. I think it's going to be quite the battle, and I don't know how. What are your first thoughts on this?
Initially, I hate Renekton. There's a long time.
Oh, that's it.
It's like if you guys remember back far enough to where Olaf was like incredibly strong top lane. Was an Aurelia player, and if you know anything about matchups, Olaf. He just does terrible things and does that to a lot of champions. Well, Renekton had that same style where you could just like close your eyes, not look at the other team, pick Renekton and still win the game. While it's not quite that way anymore, it is a decent pick versus Flares' Rumble. Rumble, traditionally a champion that wants to punish you for CSing, harass you, out-trade you early on with a Flame Spitter. But with Renekton, you just build a little bit of early damage and then just smash the other guy. It's like, wait a second, I was winning my lane. And Renekton's just like, wait a second, let's not get it twisted. So I want to see Renekton come back and do well, but at the same time, impact in team fights is still going to be something that Rumble is going to be very strong at, regardless of how far behind he is.
And it could be that IKNU felt so comfortable with someone like Maokai or even Kassadin, but he needed something to fall back to that he felt good about. And if you feel, he obviously had to pick Renekton in order to feel good about him. So I have to feel good about him. And I think this game is like hardly. The great thing about League of Legends, especially in a best of 3, is that every game's different, and we can see this game going anyway.
And we're going to take a quick little break right now, or at least that's the word I'm getting. So we have champion picks and bans all taken care of, all locked in. 5 bans at a captain's draft, a little bit of a different take, but we're going to head to a break before we hop into game number 2. Enemy eSports will be taking on compLexity in our second game of the night. Stick around. We'll be right back after a short break. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the North American Challenger League Winter Playoffs. My name is Rapid, with me is Chase, and we're hopping into our second game, our second series of the night, as Enemy eSports takes on compLexity Gaming. Now, compLexity came out with maybe an initial advantage in the early lane phase, but with things like Gnar coming out continually strong every single game, looking to see what kind of an impact we have here in game number 2.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's just going to totally be a different game because of the difference in the top lane. I mean, there's been some shifts here or there, but we're still seeing the Corki. I mean, Lucian's obviously a big change, but I think a lot of the game rested in the ability for Flares to kind of control not only the top lane, but the entire map. And I don't know if he can do that with the Rumble. I'm sure it's possible. I just don't know if iKennyU is going to be able to stop him. And I mean, a Renekton pick again, that's a little bit of a flashback. And then here we have Inox middle. And I mean, same thing, a little flashback to about half an hour ago where we saw him as a cat yet again.
Inox the cat.
Yes.
But he is a Katarina player, and he's doing it very well, making that transition very smoothly to the mid laner. And honestly, a big question mark for me that's turned into an exclamation mark as I was watching him play game number 1.
Definitely.
As we progress here into maybe the early phase, minions about to spawn, early wards coming out, and probably nothing too sneaky happening early on. Scumbag Golden Glue goes for the Dark Sphere onto on an Inox. Just stand on it, you gotta own it. He's putting staying in the mid lane, even against the matchup that same situation in game number 1. Last time Golden Glue was playing a LeBlanc, still had the range advantage, the burst advantage, but sustained through it. Inox built very tanky, very sustain heavy early, and just held out until he was able to be a big player in the team fights for the rest of them.
Yes, well, with double shields in the top lane, I'm sure we'll see at least the beginning, at least the first 15 minutes, a lot of just poking back and forth, kind of useless poking at that point, just trying to get that creep sword on.
And this is actually kind of uncharacteristic of iKennyU. I would have expected to see like long sword, 3 health potions, a Doran's blade, or something like that. So you just go in and kill the guy. And an attempt. Oh man, Josh Mabry could be in a little bit of a rough spot. Will get death sentence pulled on in. There's that phosphorus bomb. Ignite's actually used here, and I don't think. Yeah, good job there by Impactful or Josh Mabry, whatever you want to call him, in the bottom lane to take the ignite, not blow any summoner spells. But that is going to make his lane phase somewhat more difficult, though he does have the sustain advantage versus his enemy counterpart.
Yes, the confidence there just to walk away from an ignite, I think I would have been a little bit more worried about it. But, I mean, with Thresh the only one attacking him from body drop, I mean, you have not much to worry about. And so the laning phase commences. Always such an incredible and exciting beginning to these games today. Isn't it? The first, I mean, 8 minutes, something else.
Yeah, well, I don't necessarily, want to wake up in the morning first thing, have some exciting early game. Well, no, probably not. But this time, I mean, we already have an aggressive summoner spell being blown.
Yeah. No, again, no steals, nothing too crazy going on here. No early Pantheon Dragon, bummer. I was really hoping for that.
I was hoping for that in game 1.
Yeah,
but, yeah, God, there's still a potential for that level 3 Dragon, which is much more, it's easier to get down. If you go for level 2 Dragon, you miss like 1 auto attack. It can completely screw things up. Early executes may not take your buffs away from you anymore, but there's still not something you're really hoping too much for.
Definitely a little embarrassing. But on another note, enemies play last game very objective heavy, very strong, just a slow, just boulder rolling down a hill, gaining speed until an eventual surrender. Do you see the same thing happening this game?
You know, that's one of the reasons you can expect Renekton to have been picked up. But you're just like, okay, well, why on earth would you pick Renekton? Because there are very few lanes that Renekton just gets smashed by. He always has that all-in potential, and specifically when you get a gank, specifically one from Jarvan has a lot of CC from it. The knockup into the Cataclysm, something that Renekton can get inside and has a ton of damage to put down on top of it. So the Doran shield build from Renekton, I don't think that's the right perspective to have with it, but coming down bottom lane, Cat God thought he had a good angle, but an even better bubble on a body drop keeps him out of lane.
Yeah, and obviously so early in the game, not too much to highlight, but hopefully early game will come in soon. We'll see where First Blood is drawn. As I said before, I'm always a big fan of the First Blood medal.
Oh, dashing
here
in.
it comes.
The wraparound from Auto Orange. Player's going to try for the flash over the wall, but even still, he'd be flashing the wrong direction. Ooh, actually, there's the flash used to avoid the knockup. Got that scrap shield right
there
into a
comes Golden
stun
Glue.
from Golden Glue. It's a party. Players not invited.
Yes, that was brutal. Brutal end to Flair's reign so far in the game. Nothing too crazy there. I mean, I really think that was just good awareness by Golden Glue to just come up here, give him a quick cinder stone. I think he would have gotten away with it. He looks like he had the speed there, and especially with the overheating, he would have easily been able to get away.
And the strategy that Inox was using in game number 1, where it was primarily a 1v1, not something that'll work here. Golden Glue punishing him for not taking the initiative in the lane, saying, all right, I can leave my lane. I can walk right past you into the jungle and into the river and kill your top laner. That's exactly what happened. Cat God might be in a little bit of trouble himself. He's trying to do desperate battle with a pink word, something that doesn't fight back. A scuttling crab that doesn't fight back. And I don't know if that's necessarily what I would stick my giant Spartan Warlord on, but even still, effective at clearing out that early.
Yeah, it looks like as something could have happened in the northeast jungle? Yeah, northeast jungle. Nothing did, and a couple things here and there. Pantheon going ahead and going back. Maybe a steal from Jarvan. I don't think the red is going to be up yet, though.
Now, Kenny hasn't had a chance to go back to base just yet. So even though he does have that extra gold from that early kill, he won't actually be able to put it to use just yet. But what he will have is that teleport cooldown. Players used to get back to the top lane. Whoa, flash over the wall.
He's going to finish.
Where'd that auto orange come from? Will trade away a kill, so
goes.
a nice ignite there by Inox. Doesn't get the reset he needed to jump back away, but he does pick up a one-to-one trade under turn.
Yeah. I mean, a good play there. He kind of saw the end coming. I mean, maybe you could make the argument that Auto Orange wasn't going to go all the way in, but proc the ignite anyways and got the trade. I mean, going 1-for-1 is a lot better than going 0-for-1.
Still able to pick up a kill, and you'll notice a slight difference between his game 1 build as opposed to this one. Last time he was looking for, still the haunting guys, but he picked up the defensive ruby crystal instead of that amplifying tomes. He'll be looking for a little bit of extra damage here. He is staying up in the CS, or at least as close as he can without dropping too far behind, and it's completely expected from Katarina's. You lose in CS early, and you try to pick it up later on. Now,
could be foreshadowing to come there from Cat Middle.
Yeah, Cat Middle and a Cat God in the jungle. Roaming down bottom, couldn't quite get the jump onto Auto Orange. Playing this pretty carefully. Clearing out that jungle vision as you do. Cat God and Body Drop. They're trying to catch something in that bottom half of the jungle, but joke's on them. There's not a whole lot in there, and they will have foregone that Wraith Camp, or previous Wraith Camp, now the Razorbacks. And so all in all, Auto Orange getting pretty lucky, and I don't want to say luck because of course it very carefully planned out, a lot of ward coverage to make that safety possible.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's hard to talk about luck with these guys. They're such skilled players. I think the vast majority of the time they know exactly what they're doing. Speaking of knowing what they're doing, we could have Auto Orange coming in here to backdoor this Inox again for a second time, even if they're under the tower.
Don't do it. Come on, man. That's just 30. He's going to get ult.
There it is. Ult into it. Giant
fortunate
finish. Oh, and did he get the assist for that? Did he get the hit?
He did.
He did. Oh,
yeah,
wow.
He did.
Got that one basic attack. Thank God.
Inox is going to have flashbacks at these moments. He's going to wake up in a cold sweat and expected Jarvan to dive him again. He was just like, wow, I managed to survive. Golden Glue's all in. And it's suddenly Jarvan.
And I don't think you can make an argument that Cat God should have been there to help or even should have warded his own jungle. That was just a great play by Auto Orange. I mean, really using that Jarvan, that range on that Jarvan spear. It truly is, especially for tower diving. I mean, sometimes you get away with it, just like that time, and sometimes you don't, just like the very first dive.
And there's only so much you can do when your lanes are starting to lose that badly. One of them is starting to go in here. We got to hate. Kenny, you busting out the bushes. Trying to put the damage down. Arn Flares keeps those auto attacks coming, and there's just a little bit too much damage. He silenced himself. That overheat. Flares couldn't do anything but auto attack, and winds up getting auto attacked right back, and that's the second kill of the game early on. Kenny, you picking up all the aggressive itemization he needs. That's going to be an early Tiamat picked up, and I think you're going to be getting a little bit of deja vu from the top lane. Very strong strategy.
Yeah, well, I mean, flares, I mean, it's hard when you're managing Rumble and his overheat there. I don't know, even with another ability, if he had the cooldowns ready or if he could have gotten that kill. No matter what, it was close, and they both were going for it no matter what. And I mean, that's good to see, but there's always a winner and there's always a loser.
Unless we have ties. I have actually cast a League of Legends game that
that was my next question.
in a tie before.
How does that work?
It happens when, unfortunately, neither team can continue to play the game, and they both have players, but eventually, due to time constraints, connection issues, they just started dropping like flies, and eventually the game actually just ceased to exist because everybody lagged out at the same time and dropped.
Wow. That's an extenuating circumstance.
There's nothing malicious, it just happened.
Okay.
You cast it up League of Legends games, you get into some weird situations. This, thankfully, not one of those weird situations, so we can just go back to a normal, happy lane phase for nothing too exciting.
And I don't think it's that particularly happy for Flares, who came off a great game. That Tiamat, again, doing some serious AoE damage.
Whoa, Cat God might be in for a little bit of trouble. Dunk down on Orange. Picking up the kill on a Pantheon. And Nox thinking about maybe surviving, dodging away from the stun. He gets out.
That golden glue ultimate is potent. It's like a shotgun spray of purple orbs all up in the face.
Yeah, generally face not a good place for shotgun sprays of any kind, purple orbs or not. And really a big change from game number one. There's a good smite. For that first
Otter box drops.
Players is still in there, but he's going to get exhausted. He's forced out of the fight. Body drop might go down here. One last auto attack from Odd Orange. Odd attack there, and he'll pick up his the 7th kill of the game for compLexity. Really bringing this back, and you can see a polar opposite difference from game one. Game one, it was Golden Glue trying to harass Inox, trying to 1v1 him. It never really worked out, and Inox was able to sustain through that. This time around, Golden Glue's playing a much more aggressive playstyle, going for big movements and even bigger wombo combos. Coordinates it very well with Odd Orange. Able to come out to a 3-0 score.
And you see here that Odd Orange is going to be going a little bit more aggressive with that Brutalizer and the movement speed. He wants to be in all the places at all the right time. Again, not much going on for the bottom lane here. We did see that enemy eSports was maybe trying to disrupt that dragon that I think compLexity had.
Yeah, compLexity did get that. There weren't a whole lot of opportunities for them to lose the dragon. It was pretty safe and secure, because even if they had tried to contest it, compLexity would have still been in a little bit of a worse spot even still. So strong performance in lane as far as objectives concerned early. First dragon, first tower, and really everything going in their favor. The one small hope for them might just be that sooner or later you have this big wombo combo of Pantheon ulting into Corky Rockets, into a big Rumble ultimate, and then Inox just resets everywhere. So.
One could only imagine the catastrophe that would be. I mean, certainly there's room for this game to turn around, and I mean, a 5,000 golden lead, now going to be 2 towers pretty soon. I mean, they are not in serious trouble, but they're definitely contemplating their overall team strategy as a game.
Well, and this could be one of the first times that you ever really see a true snowball comp starting to work. You pick very strong early laners. Syndra, incredibly strong early, a lot of harass specifically against melee champions that can't really trade back. Pantheon ult used mid. But good job by Golden Glue to back off scene.
Yeah, kind of an ineffective ult there. Let's see if Pantheon can follow up. We have ICanU getting kind of deep into the jungle, but nope, nothing comes from that. Again, body drop kind of roaming here as Otter safely cleans up the bottom.
And you gotta give some shout outs to Odd Orange. I think he's cleared like 3 pink wards already this game. A lot of really good mobility, but also just making sure to check all those bushes that you used to see a lot of junglers miss. Pink wards in those tiny little pixel bushes by Dragon and Baron. So just good to remove as much map vision from the map as possible. See the same situation there for Body Drop and Cat God.
Little missed play there from Body Drop, and the bubble lands. Let's see if anything will come out of this tower fight here. Oh, and here comes Flares from up top. He's getting soloed out.
Going for the ult. Should have maybe hit that on to Body Drop. Couldn't quite kill Inox. Hit a 15% damage reduction, but now, it's Cat God going in. He's not the only one that can dunk. We got the resets coming in. Is it enough? Look at them kills. Pate on a killing spree. Of course, that's iKennyU. And Otter, man, he hit a couple of the biggest missiles he's hit in his entire life. Winds up still being a 2-for-2 even trade, but still, you can really see the potential comeback there for complex or for enemy.
Yeah, lot of damage right there. Like in a matter of 1 or 2 seconds, Otter picking up his first kill. Thankfully, I'm sure he's happy to start getting that momentum. And then, of course, we have Golden Glue, who really is one of the more capable Syndra players here. I mean, just 4-0 and 4. He's just doing a really great job. He's got the unholy grail. I'm curious to see what he goes next. Probably something a little on the aggressive side, I would imagine.
Well, yeah, you're going to see a needlessly large rod item picked up next, and there's the needlessly large rod.
Yep.
As if he was listening. Picks that one up. Most likely going to be either Deathfire Grasp or a Death Cap, but if you want to go the safe route, and honestly, the more advisable route, you pick up a Zhonya's Hourglass.
Yeah,
because
this early, too.
You really think about what's going to kill you. It's not going to be like persistent harass down in the course of a team fight. It's going to be somebody jumping on you and going for a wombo combo. Whether it's the Pantheon into Katarina, or maybe it's the Rumble ultimate into a bunch of stuff jumping on you. You're going to need that invulnerability. And as a Syndra player, you can get off your ultimate, hit that Zhonya's, and then go up for an entire number of their ability combo right after it finishes. So
I think the Odd Orange Cataclysm combo with iKennyU as the supercharged Renekton inside the circle, I think that could be really potent if they trap some guys in there. Again, I think this is going to be a team fight battle where they can try to trap each other in all of their different AoE spells. I mean, earlier today we saw Orianna, but I mean, Thresh,
Golden Glue
unable to steal that.
Yeah, Golden Glue kind of jacked the blue buff. It's a pretty classic thing that you'll see a lot of Syndras try to do. Kind of pull a Blitzcrank. And just, yank it over the wall, take it down, and it's a successful steal. Golden Glue doing a really good job this game of not just controlling his own lane, which he's definitely doing 404, but also controlling the lanes around him. He roams top lane for the first blood kill onto the players, and then he's continuing to, just like we saw now, steal the blue buff away, make his presence extended past his lane onto the rest of the lane.
Definitely. And we're starting to see a little bit more of a creep score advantage go in the favor of compLexity. I mean, you might cite small cases, 50 here, 20 there, 20 there, but I mean, it adds up as a team, and I think there could definitely be a little bit of a shift going on. And I don't know if there will be a paradigm shift.
Oh man, Nox in a rough spot. Immediate Shunpo away to a ward. Keeps himself alive, but doesn't keep his turret alive. That's the 3rd turret in a row going down. And while Cat God may have been waiting for something to happen, good old double pink ward strategy there by Golden Glue.
Well, speaking of waiting, the dragon is up, the wait is over, and we see compLexity make immediate moves.
Let's go.
Force the dragon.
Like making a beeline in there for the dragon. He's like, man, I got to get in position, man. The dragon's going to go down second. Dragon going there to compLexity.
That is
pick up some extra wave clear mechanics.
A little bit of minion damage there. Not too exciting as far as dragon buffs goes.
Interesting change in patch 4.21.
Oh, the order, right?
Yeah, they changed the order of the 2nd and 4th dragon buffs. So the 2nd one will give you the extra damage turrets, whereas the 4th dragon buff that you get will actually give you additional damage to minions and monsters.
I wonder what inspired them to make that switch.
I really kind of feel out of order. I don't know anybody who will tell you that they're in the best order right now. And Riot agrees. They're changing them up because early on, having extra damage to minions, it's just really not that impactful. Whereas extra damage to turrets early really can help you. Can make that dragon an objective you have to fight for. Otherwise, you just start losing turrets very early on.
Yeah. And I think it's is it 10% damage towards towers?
I think it's 15%.
15.
But speaking of percentage changes, it's actually being lowered for the first dragon buff, down from 8% to 6%. So you're going to see a little bit of less of an impact off of that first dragon making those changes in lane.
Yeah, well, definitely still an impact enough if you're a team with the dragon facing off against a team without a single dragon. Definitely an effect as the damage gets to be in the 200 range, as the AP gets to be in the 300 range. I mean, that's kind of where we are at right now at minute 18, starting to get into the real fights mode. And I really don't know. I think, and don't quote me on this, but I think enemy might have a little bit more momentum as far as a... there it comes in.
Low pally, but could be an Nox's Q to go in. Big equalizer dropped onto Mabry and Odd Orange, but is Cat God going to be the engaged that the rest of enemy need to turn this fight around? It's like a good kiting backwards. Nice ability there by compLexity to stay out of danger zone.
Turret has been destroyed.
Turret killed in the meantime. Good job there by Otter. He's in the bottom lane on a world all his own. Can the rest of enemy keep this turret alive?
I don't know about that. Enemy's definitely gaining momentum, and they certainly need it, but
Dive in there.
Singling out this Renekton, they're not going to be able to finish him off, and oh my gosh, there's the
this
cataclysm into the
damage. So much. That coming out of Golden Glue is able to pick up not one, but there's the second kill of that team fight. Now 505. Great way to finish things off there. 2-0 and a dragon. The rich keep getting richer as compLexity snowball their lead even further, coming up with their fourth turret kill of the game, and another one onto Otter. Wait, this looked a little bit slow there on the disengage, but stunned up, locked up, and you can only there's only so much you can expect one Otter to do.
Yeah, he's a little bit out of luck there too. There wasn't much he had. But coming in here again, 12-3 lead at 20 minutes. The Baron is, of course, up in 2-1, but I doubt that we'll see a 20-minute Baron, maybe someday. But again, the lead extended to 3 towers and 8,000 gold. 7.7 thousand gold. But that's enough to start snowballing, like you just said.
And even without new news in this game, still a lot of snowballs. Top lane and mid specifically, you take an advantage and then you just run it into the ground. It's one of the few examples we see normally, specifically of the challenger scene. While there is a lot more fighting, games traditionally go very late.
Speaking of going a little later, this game is in fact paused here. We'll go ahead and try to show up what the issue is. Of course, it's with the players, not with us. We will continue speaking with you in the meantime.
I was going to say, we've already gotten all of our issues out of the way. So
right.
Going to be smooth sailing, at least for us, for the rest of the night. At least that's what the forecast is. So let's talk about some other things.
Right.
Over the course of the first 20 minutes, we've seen a complete switch for trinkets, warding totems early, and now a total of 4 sweeping lenses for both teams. A couple of scrying orbs thrown in there as well. So what's interesting, at least for me to see, the complete switch for both teams. Usually, or at least it used to be, that if you were a little bit more ahead of your opponents, you want more sweeping lenses so that you could clear out more of the jungle of vision and look for picks in there aggressively. But now you actually see teams both behind and ahead pick it up just to make sure that their vision control is out there. Flair, he's a little bit behind. He's 1-2-1. Still hasn't completed a major item, and even he's buying pink wards.
Yeah, it's definitely a team effort here, and I think it remains pretty even as far as the vision battle is concerned. I mean, we'll see what happens next here. I mean, certainly a team fight is bound to happen. Everyone's ultimates seem to be closing up, so we'll see how this pans out. I mean, I really think that enemy needs to make a quick turnaround. Do you think that's possible for them?
Oh, finally, the ultimate double pink ward in the side lane brush strategy is countered by enemy. Those pink wards were there for like, I don't know, a solid 5 minutes, and while not necessarily incredibly effective right next to each other, now we finally see that strategy being thwarted. Teleport to top lane and surprised that, whoa, big Pantheon ultimate. On top of that, not sure where Golden Glue's going. Just trying to stay right out of there, but Inox going in, jumping right back out, finds 1 kill. It's a shutdown there onto Golden Glue, but we'll see how the rest of the team fight works out. Body drop a little bit too far forward, gets his body dropped, and now the defense of this turret becomes that much more difficult. 2-1 exchange. Favorite compLexity.
It really looked like Otter could have maybe even had Mabry there, but he didn't chase it. Notice that because ICanEU came in real hot with his ulted Renekton, and I think he would have maybe even traded there, but coming out, again, not on top is enemy. They really have to make a turn pretty soon. It's a little too early to go for Baron, or maybe not.
I don't know, they're going to take down Mr. Scuttle Crab. I always feel so sorry for the Scuttle Crab. While it is the most exciting part of the game, not really a good time to be Scuttle Crabs on Summoner's Rift. And you have to kind of wonder about, the natural selection process. It's like there's a Summoner's Rift without Scuttle Crabs, and all of a sudden they migrate here. Probably not a
Oh, there goes the Cataclysm down.
Turns it right back around. There's a Valkyrie out from Otter. And is this the team fight that enemy eSports are looking for?
Could be 5-on-4 here.
Rockets, missiles, harpoons, and just about everything else coming out.
Oh, there's a Threshold Grenade. Looks like he's going to get beaten down with the Flay coming back again, but he's so tanky right now. It's incredible to sustain a 5-on-1 damage for like 3 or 4 seconds with the Visage, the belt, and the Tiamat. 3-0-4 up top for iKennyU.
With that pressure, enemy esports could have just earned themselves their first drag of the game. Down to half HP. Kenny still very, very healthy. Gonna get locked up there, but is this equalizer going to equalize the fight? A one-shot there by Golden Blue. Gonna take out Flares. Turn around auto attack. Is gonna kill off Inox, and now body drop. Once again, gonna go down as last death sentence. Not gonna take him out, but Cat God coming out from behind while the culling, and Golden Glue will probably take him up at the end. Still not that terrible of a fight. A 4-for-2 exchange. And if I can check, it was actually Cat God that got the Dragon buff for enemy esports. So their first one in that category and desperately needed at this point.
Yes, good thing they denied that third movement speed buff for compLexity eSports here. Again, 5-0-5 here for Mabry Baby on compLexity eSports, and then we have 7-1-9 for Golden Glue. It's just it's becoming quite a kill zone to be within the range of Syndra's balls or the range of Lucian's pistols.
Right, I'm just gonna move on from this wonderful juncture of League of Legends. All right, so literally looking for anything else happening out on the map. Unfortunately,
I'm sorry.
Perfect timing. There's actually nothing to save me. My segues are not fast.
I'm here to embarrass you. That is my job title.
Well, you know, at least someone's good at their job. I'm still trying to make this whole segue thing work out. So big struggle for Flares right now. Better have Azania that doesn't dies instantly, but can the counter engage work out? Flash out from body drop. Is Inox able to find a reset here? Perfect Zania prevents that. Double kill, start things out. Lucian, the strong gets stronger. One kill might allow Inox to turn back into this fight, but body drop just gonna get dropped. And Inox, he's looking for that reset. Is it juicy enough? No. We'll jump right out of that cataclysm, but the culling coming out. Josh Mabry.
Fantastic range on that.
As if we needed even more proof that he is legendary. Picking up his 8th kill in a row. Just incredible score so far, and after that, not quite a 20-minute Baron. Just as Mr. Scuttle Crab respawns, like, wow, at least the Baron takes this one. And walk a helpful way away from that. And the first Baron buff of the game.
Yeah, it doesn't look like Otter's going to be able to do much against this. Coming in real hot, no pun intended, is Flares. But again, too late, and gosh, Mr. Scuttlecrab again, 5 minutes later.
Just can't catch a break. It's like, I wonder if there's like kill differences between the northern breed of Scuttlecrab and the obscure and often, I guess, ignored southern Scuttlecrab variety.
It looks like enemy esports is going to take another tower, keeping them in this game. But again, 22-8, 46K to 35K. It is.
Yeah, I would say
the snowball has melted slightly, but it is still rolling down that hill.
Yeah, at some point you're just like, wow, there's part of the world that hasn't been engulfed in snow. What an encouraging place to be. And you realize that the entire world is, snowballs, avalanche everywhere. Still a pretty strong. Pretty bad place to be if you are enemy esports. But keep in mind, this is a best-of-3 series. So if you guys have stuck with us, you might be sticking with us a little bit longer for a deciding Game 3. Certainly looking very, very likely. 22 kills, Baron buff, 2 turret lead. Just about everything else going in compLexity's flavor. And you can really see that they fixed all of their problems from Game 1. Bottom lane, Otter just crushed game number 1, and now it's the exact opposite situation. Golden Glue wasn't able to put a lot of pressure onto Inox in Game 1, and this time he's just completely destroyed that match. So you don't see this a lot out of teams able to say, all right, what are our problems? Fix our problems, and here's how to do it.
Yeah, I'm immediately learning from experience, and that experience may have happened 30 minutes ago. I mean, it just shows great maturity in the game to be able to make those adjustments. And although they are different champions. They're being used effectively. The strategies
long
on
range
top.
stun on to Cat Guy. That's going to be a nice ultimate used by Golden Glue. Won't pick up a kill. That might just open up this turret. You can see that lone cannon minion. 1,050 range on that guy. Still chunking away at the turrets. And even though he's finally initially going to die, will this equalizer the combo coming out?
Oh, this could be him right here.
Got the big engage there, but can Otter take out Josh Mabry? No. This can be the initial kill there. Jumping backwards out of the fight into Inox. Can he find at least 1 kill to get those resets coming? iKennyU very, very low, but Inox just does not have the damage. Has to run away from that. Might find at least 1 is going in for it, but no.
Oh,
can't find
still
it.
alive.
Triple kill.
Incredible. I have to say that was a bold move by Otter to go in and try to backdoor Mabry. But as you can see, it's just brilliant play by Mabry's Lucian. I mean, really, really incredible. Not just the triple kill, but the presence of not being singled out by Otter, because I feel like that this could be a game here. And Mabry's had an opposite game. It seems like first game went to Otter, second game went to Mabry. I mean, it's not over yet, but...
Yeah, I think it actually is. There's the invulnerability. Hate's not going to go down, and of course, it's going to stay alive. Invulnerable is the game number 2. 26-8, the final score, and that's going to do it. Incredible turnaround from game 1, and almost the complete opposite story. compLexity looking like an entirely different team, and well, coming into this tournament, they are a brand new roster put together from kind of the best of compLexity white and black, throwing a little bit of odd orange, and there's a game number 2 win.
Yeah, I mean, that was incredible to see, because first off, we're coming in here, we haven't seen, you know, a lot of these players play before, at least together in this fashion. And the first game, you would have easily maybe even thought that Enemy was a clear number 1, at least out of these two. But then this game just totally changed it. And again, game 3, it could be anyone's game. And it'll start with the bans, and it'll end with the Nexus kill. But I'm really interested.
Now, we do have a replay loaded up for you guys, so we'll get that on your screen here in just a second to try to break down one of the big plays, and this does come 21 minutes into the game, so we're going to go ahead and get that started for you guys out on your screen. This is a key second turret defense, and you're going to see Golden Glue. He's going to get caught out a little bit, and this was kind of a sign of life for Enemy, where we saw the teleport come in, Golden Glue lagging a little bit far behind, and this is where things start to go in Enemy's favor. Big equalizer, and Golden Glue is just like, where do I go? I want to avoid the Pantheon. Turns around for the stun and will one-shot Cat God, but at this point, he's walked a little bit too far in, and Nox, even exhausted, is able to pick up 1 kill, but then chooses to jump out of the fight, whereas Body Drop and Otter are moving forward, so a little bit of miscommunication there, and then at the end of the day, hey, iKennyU just way too strong to deal with. Body Drop's going to drop, and you can just see how much more clumped together compLexity are at this point. They're all on the same page, making the same plays, and Inox going backwards while the rest of his team goes forward. Maybe just not quite as much coordination there.
Yes,
winds up being a 1 for 2.
I have to give props to Low Pally there for noticing the timing on the Pantheon ult and bubbling almost immediately as he comes down. Because they're on the edges of the circle, they are able to not have too much damage done from the ult itself. But I mean, he was taken out within seconds and could not do anything. So again, you know, bold move, but we'll obviously we saw how the game panned out with a loss for Enemy. 1-1 for the series so far, and we have a lot to look forward to. Game 3.
Yeah, Game 3 will be coming up after a short commercial break. We're broadcasting the NACL Winter Playoffs to you live from the AFK Gamers Lounge, of course, downtown San Jose, California. It's been an exciting start to the season. We've got some more exciting games coming your way. So stick around. We'll have game number 3 between Enemy, eSports, and compLexity coming your way right after the break. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. North American Challenger League, we are live, coming to you from the AFK Gamers Lounge in downtown San Jose, California. My name is Rapid. With me is Chase. We're hopping into our last game of the night. It's been a long night, and there's been our fair share of ups and downs, but it's all come down to this. compLexity taking on Enemy eSports. Who's winning?
I don't know. Fifth game of the day. We saw in game one of this series, we saw Enemy take a strong early game lead and just continue to snowball. And then, flip it to the next game. Half an hour later, after a 26-minute surrender, we have another, again, snowballing game in compLexity's favor. Oh, it's not flavor. Excuse me.
I wonder what compLexity's flavor is. What does
I don't
compLexity
know.
taste like? I don't know.
Definitely
probably
complex.
Yeah, one of those like deep blended. I don't know. Whatever.
Either
way.
Tell you what though, I'm looking forward to Odd Orange again with the matchup that he's got going on with Inox. Always fun to see in the mid lane, at least after the first 6 minutes.
Well, Odd Orange is the jungler.
I'm sorry. Golden
Mid lane
Glue.
is Golden Glue versus Inox.
Oh,
that's
bad.
exactly like you said. Yeah, that matchup is one that I expected Golden Glue to just like smash wide open, and he kind of did that in game number 2. Game 1, Inox definitely held his own, and he's played 2 games in a row of Katarina.
I don't think there's going to be a third.
Yeah, you can see where, as in mid lane, he was able to sustain things out, not lose hard early on, and then come back and still be a big force for the rest of his team. Game 2, Inox Golden Glue just said no, and he was able to take him down like 3-4 times in a row, and that was just in lane phase.
Yeah, and the ICANNEU Rumble choice, which we never said was bad. Maybe we would have even said that Flair's Rumble choice, the ICANNEU was the Renekton choice. That was very, very interesting, and I doubt we'll see that again. But again, top lane, mid lane, bot lane, it's all everything switched. Everything literally switched.
So let's go ahead and get into picks and bans. And I was asked for about the 9th or 10th time to explain the way picks and bans work. So in case you're new to the stream, here's the way things work. It's called a captain's draft, and that means that we split things into 2 sections of picks and bans for a total of 5 picks and 5 bans as well. So you're like, 5 bans, it's a little bit new, it's a scary new world, what do I do? Well, here's the way things work. You get 3 bans apiece, so ban, so 3 bans for both sides.
Easy to follow.
Yeah, and then you get 3 picks for both sides. It'll be a first pick, then 2 other picks, then 2 picks, and then the last pick. So then you'll ban 3 champions, pick 3 champions, and then you'll go back to another ban phase. And what this does is it allows you to both ban more champions, but also have control over which champions are available at which phase of the pick phase. Like, do you want to just ban out 5 champions? Well, you can't ban them all at once, and that might let a few through. So a very interesting new take on this season of NACL, and one that I feel is going to add a lot of strategic diversity.
Yeah, I agree. I really think it's a good choice overall. And quite quick sidebar. Excuse me. We often have not necessarily in this order, but top, mid, and jungle are the first ones to be picked. So we could see maybe a little jungle heavy, maybe a little top heavy, especially in this particular series. We've seen a lot of jungles get knocked out. Maybe that's because of Cat God's godliness, you could say. Maybe that's because of Odd Orange's ability to just destroy with Lee Sin. And kind of in that same regard, out of the 6 bans you see on your screen in front of you, only one this time is a jungle, and that is, of course, Lee Sin.
And that's changed over the course of this series. Whereas in our first game of the series, you saw compLexity, or rather Enemy eSports, spam banning all 3 junglers away from Odd Orange. It's like, come on, man. It was a little bit of a struggle. We still got a good champion, just unfortunately not good enough. Game 2, he definitely made it count, though. And so coming in here to the deciding game number 3, finally, both teams have kind of felt each other out and sort of moved away from that jungle ban strategy. But it's exactly the same thing as we saw last game. First pick for either team is going to be a jungler. This time it's Jarvan the 4th for Cat God. That means that you're probably going to see a very early jungle pick for compLexity as well. It just won't have quite as many options, although there are still a lot of options out there.
Yeah, again, to reiterate, the options that aren't out there is the Syndra, the Lee Sin, the Lucian, Soraka, Gnar, and Corki. So, interesting again, we're going to need to see Otter outside of his Corki. He didn't quite have a fantastic game last game, but then also you have Mabry over there, and without his Lucian, and we saw really how masterful he was with his Lucian.
Yeah, Lucian, Corki, they're both just monsters at the early game, and just of the 80 carry role right now, 100% pick and ban in a lot of tournaments, most recently Intel Extreme Masters San Jose, right down the road, and you saw, like I said, nothing but picks and bans of those champions all tournament long. So with some nerfs coming their way in the next patch, might be some more diversity. Of course, with a lot of bans, might just see them banned out in the future.
And with some diversity, we have an Orianna picked over here for Team compLexity eSports. We saw a lot of them the first series. It was a lot of fun to watch Orianna kind of just do what she can do as far as her ball is concerned. Just one ball this time, not more. And then, of course, Nami over there for compLexity. What do you expect to see from these next two picks from Enemy?
This time we won't see the Syndra, but in place of the Orianna that's been locked in, most likely for Golden Glue in the mid lane, a lot of options for Inox. Seeing Katarina, and probably not more Katarina. We talked about some of his other options, maybe a Zed or specifically a Azir. But this time around, we're looking for wait a second. If I'm not mistaken, that is a Sivir.
Yeah, it's Sivir, yeah.
All right, so Sivir, the word I'm going to use is interesting, just because you can say a lot of bad things about her as far as her attack range. Mobility pre-6 is still very, very limited, at least when you consider things like more mobile Ezreal, Lucian, Corki, all got escapes.
They fixed the blade so that the throw, in fact, you're hit on the edge of the blade and not in the center of the blade, so that helps definitely spam just slightly more AoE from the bottom there. Definitely going to help with CS. I doubt it's going to affect Sivir's ability to get kills, though. Again, I don't know what that fares, but obviously Otter's got to be confident with it.
Yeah, and Otter, one of the few champions that he can bring out that other AD carries really might not consider part of their arsenal. Varus, another one you might see out there a few times, but as when you go towards less mobile AD carries, you enter into a lot of vulnerabilities. But one of the big abilities that Sivir does have is the ability to not really fight the enemy laner. You get high enough levels in Ricochet and Boomerang Blade, and you're really just fighting enemy minions. You walk up, one-shot the wave, and then you're just like, all right, time to chill for a little bit. And then you do it again, you get the idea. And so wave clear, spell shield, also a very good sort of micro ability, dodge away from essential CC, and maybe avoid things that would have killed lesser AD carries.
I think Otter's definitely feeling a little bit more confident with Jarvan the Fourth on his side as opposed to the other side. So I mean, with those quick, easy ganks, they're kind of been taken away. I mean, again, no Lee Sin, but we'll see. I mean, possibly. Oh, there's Vi going over here for Odd Orange. Again, we know that she is very, very much a number 2 character, number 2 champion in his arsenal.
Exactly, and by a champion that's been banned away from him both games in a row, now finally made it through, and he's just going to jump right on top of it. And while not necessarily in the high sustain category of champions that have proven to be so strong in the new jungle, comfort picks are comfort picks, and nice to see Odd Orange finally having at least one of his junglers get through. And he's got the rest of his team to thank for that. They've been like, all right, we're going to smash them with this champion. All right, fine. We won't ban out all your junglers. So nice to see that. Now we're entering into the second part of our captain's ban phase.
Right, and to remind you, each team now has an opportunity to ban 2 more champions each, of course, switching off. In that first round, we have Aurelia and Morgana, and we'll keep you updated on what that second round is, although it is on your screen. Then once that happens, we'll go ahead and have Enemy eSports choose their champion, and then 2 back to compLexity, and then 1 back to Enemy. So we'll really see how these team compositions really match up. Again, we haven't talked much though, but the Maokai top a very, very prominent role in the new meta.
Exactly. You're going to see Maokai. He's been prominent in a lot of metas ever since. Forget the top laner that brought him to prominence. In the same day, you had the first top lane Maokai performance in OGN, and then the EULCS was on that afternoon, and Zaz's top laner for Roccat at the time brought out to top lane Maokai, and everybody's just like, wait, what? It's a top lane Maokai, and then ever since then, it's just dominated top lane. So still very strong.
Yeah, speaking of dominating, Cat God doing a pretty solid job in jungle first game. Second game, not as much, but still very familiar. Again, Kale banned for compLexity. Maybe they're still worried that he will come in with a deep pocket pick.
Yeah, that Kale jungle is always something you got to watch out for nowadays. Still a little bit new, so you might be a little bit scared to add it to your jungle repertoire, but when you know what you're doing, it's very, very strong, and it adds a lot to what your team can accomplish. Maybe you have a weak laner, maybe he's already traded aggressively and is very low health. Got an intervention and make that gank still something that's possible, whereas might risk death on your top laner if you gank with a champion that doesn't, oh, by the way, give your lane invulnerability.
Well, the final ban is out here. It's Kassadin, so definitely an interesting top pick again. We see that the Maokai is top for Enemy, we have yet to be kind of in I can't use head right now for compLexity. I don't really know which way it could go. Maybe we see that Rumble again. He's doing really well. I'm not sure. I'm confident with being able to predict anything that's going to come to finish this off.
For right now, against Maokai, you can run a few things. Rumble is certainly the most common pick that you'd run into a Maokai. Fire versus trees. Doesn't take a lot of help to think about how that matchup goes. And the other sort of niche picks would have been maybe a top lane Kassadin. You can also run things like Westrise several times has run Garen top lane into Maokai. Just like, Garen, who is that champion? And then all of a sudden you get
classic starters.
Flashbacks to playing Teemo and every brush containing a Garen. In fact, in the it was Doombots where they would have Garens randomly spawn in brushes, and you're like, oh my goodness, I hated that mode. But you get the idea. This time, instead of trying to beat the tank, you're just gonna be the tank. Josh Mabry locking in a Dr. Mundo for iCanEU.
Yeah, and we'll definitely see what comes up next for Enemy Esports. I mean, I really just, what do we have left here? We got support and we have mid. So, I mean, I don't know. Anything can happen. And I'm against an Orianna. I mean, anything works. And obviously, Syndra's been banned. So we'll definitely see what Inox is going to go for. Hopefully, not a third cat. I feel like they're definitely going to get away from that. But
yeah,
we'll see. On there, and there's the LeBlanc.
Saving the mid pick for last, something that they've done a lot of times. I think last time they did it too for Inox. I knew I was going to come up with that. But this time, Inox is actually going to take the champion that he played against in game number 1 and pick up that LeBlanc. Now, we saw Syndra ban, there's a Kassadin ban, and really, what mid laner are you going to see come out against LeBlanc? It's a new meta, so maybe a few new picks coming out there too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. As usual, I'm always trying to keep an open mind because I do love those, not necessarily pocket picks, but those that are kind of off the beaten path. You know, I'm definitely going to be looking towards Otter and his Sivir this game.
Yeah, so as for the last pick, we are going to see, first we got to finish the picks here for Enemy. Body Drop is going to lock in the support. It's not often you see support pick left for last.
Yep.
And you can really tell Enemy, they're just like, all right, we got to get this champion. We got to get these guys. And it's more, less about, saving champions for that last pick and more about just getting them when you can. And so they'll save that last pick for a little bit longer, but is that Lopali? Picking up, is that Vayne?
That is.
I don't know, man. What do you think about the Vayne pick? We haven't seen that at all.
No, but the tumble mobility can definitely go well against the Sivir's lack of movement before level 6.
Yeah, and so Vayne picked up there. Usually you see Vayne's against things like Dr. Mundo, but now they've teamed up. Using that teamwork on compLexity. Same thing they used in Game 2 to come back. Last pick here, like we said, very, very essential support pick. Not often see left for last, and this is where you randomly change to support Maokai and pick up another top laner, and you're just like,
I would love that. I would personally love that. But I feel like compLexity it has the confidence going into this game. I mean, it's not because they got the last win, but I just think that their game was really come together. I mean, in one word I'd like to describe that is just synergy. That's all I saw Game 2 out of compLexity was synergy.
Looks like an Annie last pick.
Yes.
There
all
you
right.
go.
That
Back
is exactly
in the
what
day,
I'm thinking.
Bringing back flashbacks.
I love it.
I'll never forget watching Tabe pick up Tammy or Annie.
Tammy.
As I was like Tabe, Annie. Yeah, it's mixing them together.
I think of Tammy. I think of like a very good-looking 30-year-old woman, not necessarily.
I wouldn't say 30. It's more like 20.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, Annie's substantially younger and more powerful.
Yeah.
Don't know too many that can breathe. Well,
Nope.
the fire there,
Nope.
flaming, also lame, but not when you're picking Annie. It's a lot of CC, but still kind of phased out of the current meta, just because, like a lot of, she's just very long range. So you're like, you're poking out at them, and you feel really good about yourself, and then all of a sudden you realize that as soon as they close onto you, kind of die. And outside of that flash AoE Tibbers stun, Annie maybe a little bit less effective than other supports towards the later phase of the game. Of course, if you do go off and start getting a million kills, you start building all that damage as everything dies, but I think that's true for a lot of supports.
Well, she is one of my favorite characters. Obviously used for mid, not really in the meta, but as a support, I mean, if you land those stuns and maybe Body Drop will start with a W and immediately try to just be constantly aggressive, and if you can serve mana well, I really think that those quick stuns in a two-man game in the bot lane could do really well for them.
Yeah, exactly. It's always been about the stuns, but one of the reasons Annie fell out of favor was that they didn't nerf the stun duration to where it's, I think, 1.25 seconds early
that is
on. It
correct.
scales up to like 1.75 later. So not quite the devastating lockdown that you used to have for support Annie. And of course, it is against a Nami, so maybe you think to yourself, well, fire versus water, how's that really going to work? And ironically enough, if you can burst Nami down, then sure, you're going to fry the fish, but more likely than not, that sustain advantage is going to be rough to deal with early for the enemy bottom lane.
I mean, especially with the combo of Sivir in there, I mean, they're really going to have to play a very tight, close, I mean, again, synergy is the word. They have to play perfectly together. But anyways, we have a quick break coming up for you here before Game 3 of our NACL tournament here at AFK Games. Be right back.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, of the North American Challenger League. My name is Rapid. With me is Chase, and we're loading into our last game of the night. Enemy eSports took down game number 1, but game 2, exactly the opposite story, with compLexity Black firing back. Actually, it's just compLexity now. It's the best of the black and the white rosters coming together, and you can just see that in game 2 is a totally different story. Lanes that lost in game 1, won in game 2. Now it's anybody's game coming into game number 3.
Yeah, very interested in this game here. Obviously, it is the tiebreaker, 1-1. compLexity and Enemy seem to trade games. I think that would work as an overall term there. We'll see how this pans out. Again, the first opening minutes of the game, not incredibly exciting, but we will keep you updated with every single important moment.
Yeah, tons of important moments here. 24 seconds into the game. Nothing too crazy as far as items picked up. Dorian's ring from Maokai, maybe a little bit off there, but the aggressive start.
Kind of like that.
Dorian's shield for extra regen there. And for Dr. Mundo specifically in this patch 4.20, one of the big changes to all the champions was that they now have a base health regen stat, and then percentage is added on to that. And well, for Dr. Mundo, his base health regen is still incredibly high, and that just helps him stack up that regen stat, something he benefits from a lot. So
yeah, I'd just like to mention too, at bottom lane here, even though this Annie definitely has a support vibe to her, she has Ignite as her second summer spell. So really looking for maybe some aggression early on, maybe not. I don't know, but Sivir still has that heal, so we'll see what's to come there, and if those stuns will be appropriately landed.
Yeah, and you can see the difference in summoner spells, both mid lane and bottom. Mid, the big synergy is aggression. It's the big sort of buzzword for this enemy esports lineup. You got Ignite on Inox, Ignite on a body drop. And double Ignite versus the Dr. Mundo makes a whole lot of sense. You got to keep him down. And on top of that, you should see Inox go for at least eventually a Morellonomicon, which will give you that grievous wounds to further limit IKENIU's healing.
And I don't know if Golden Glue is particularly worried about staying in lane, but he did pick up heal as his second summoner spell. So definitely maybe some less aggression there from Ignite. I mean, we'll see how he reacts to the LeBlanc. I'm looking forward to another great play from Orianna.
Now, this is the first time that we're seeing Inox on a more traditional mid lane champion in LeBlanc, or at least traditional in this meta. Previously, it was 2 Katarina games, and you really don't see her out there all that much. And I'm really interested to see how he plays on more traditional mid lane champions, because of course he is new to this role, at least as far as the competitive scene is concerned. Has a lot of experience top lane for Evil Geniuses while they were in the LCS, and now coming into this game, excited to see how he does do. 1-1 so far. Let's see if he can tip the scales in his favor.
And you can see that base regen on Dr. Mundo for IKENIU is definitely going to give him exactly what he needs to stay in lane, and I'm sure we won't have too many highlights from top lane very often in the beginning of the game.
It'll just be about consistent trading, so much damage done. You look at a lot of stats, and sometimes top laners have an incredibly high damage dealt to champions score, even though they're tanks, and you're just like, wait a second, why is that so high? It's because they're literally auto-attacking each other all the time. But at least for the time being, it's just going to be about that wave control, and Kenny's got it in a good place up there. Keeping it close to his turret, but man, look at those third silver bolt procs, really giving Otter a lot of trouble.
Yeah, that true damage definitely has just causes huge trouble for someone like Sivir, who doesn't necessarily have an escape. So when she gets low, I mean, you're going to burn your flash and hopefully get away, but I mean, we'll see how aggressive the guys over there want to play, guys in Mabry. How aggressive Mabry.
Yeah, playing aggressively is Vayne, not a sentence you really say all that often, specifically early game. And this is what I was referencing earlier. Otter on that Sivir is never really fighting a whole lot of champions. He's just making sure that he fights the minions.
Here comes the flash in from Mabry.
Might be enough. Otter actually spell shields prematurely. Might go down here. Red buff tagging him again.
There's that heal.
Forces out that summoner heal, and he'll make it back to base alive. Flash forced out from body drop as well, so 2 summoners blown off of that first very successful gank. Now, Flash was used by Josh Mabry's Vayne, but now we're looking for that chain to land mid. Golden Glue trying to kite around the minions to prevent that chain from landing. Flash is away, but oh man, here's Auto Orange for the save. Command Protect going backwards, but probably should have saved it for himself. No, Cat got missed the Dragon Strike, but still follows up for the auto attack and the kill. First blood. Going over to Cat God.
I just have to note that it would have been a totally different story on the gank bottom if Odd Orange had nailed his V gank originally. I don't think there would have been any time there for Otto to flash out, and that would have been a huge lead for Mabry down low.
Yeah, Vi, I believe the champion, I mean, tried
mistake.
to land that, couldn't quite get in range, and Otter baited out, used his spell shield a little bit early. But Cat God showing time and time again, and his transition into the jungle is one that he's actually still having a lot of success with. You can't just role swap in competitive play and expect to do quite as well, but Cat God's done a great job at continuing to train just as hard for that new role, and First Blood's a good way to illustrate that. Now, the other big story for tonight has been Inox, and he's switched out to the mid lane from top as well. We got a lot of top laners switching to other roles. And for Inox, he's picked up an assist early on, and on a more traditional mid lane champion. Still waiting to kind of prove himself as a mid laner. Already off to a good start.
Well, just like Inox learned how to mid, I hope I can learn how to pronounce Vi's name correctly on a game-to-game basis. I tell you what, I don't know why I struggle so hard with that one name. Maybe it's just
wait until you see the next champion to come out. I'm not going to spoil anything in case you haven't seen the announcement. What the next champion
a complicated
that Riot's
name.
Release, there's accent marks, there's like weird guttural noises you're supposed to make with your throat. I'm not even going to attempt to say it, but yeah, it's going to get a little bit more fun. Let's put it that way. Inox just dashing in with a distortion, lands one chain. Not level 6, so no further chain to follow. Wait, what? Okay.
Just passing through, I think. Yeah, all right. See you later. From Cat God.
It's about establishing dominance in that mid lane.
With that gigantic spear. I wonder if he's compensating for it.
I don't know about that, but helping Inox compensate for maybe a little bit of struggle coming into the mid lane. Not something that Golden Glue will be too scared of. Of course, once you start to maybe fall behind, fall prey to ganks, you can always just stay safe, see us with your ball, and you know, make sure that you don't fall any further.
Definitely. Well, I always love watching Vayne because although she might be more cautious. Oh, speaking of not cautious.
Body drop. He's just going to straight up die. Otter thinking about turning around, but once again, not going to land the ball breaker there. Otter put out some auto attacks, but that is going to be a dead body drop. Now 1-1. First kill of the game coming towards complexity.
Well, definitely, like I was saying before, Vayne is a very mobile character, and I think one of the best duelists in the game as far as an AD carry is concerned.
Otter thinking about getting that spell shield ready.
Playing with fire, playing with water from Nami over there. Remember, they are both 6. Oh, no, just Nami is 6, so we could see a low pally wave.
No, Nami's still level 5. It's maybe a little bit hard to see there.
Oh,
yeah.
level
5, you can always check if the ult's lit up, and currently not for any of those bottom laners.
My mistake again. Jeez.
Mid's level 6, but bottom's still a little bit behind. You got to spread that experience between two champions.
Right, definitely.
Instead of just one.
Well, definitely going to be interesting seeing that Vayne ult combo with the wave. Very effective, as most double ults are.
You know, you can think of really effective combos. I remember there was a game of cast of CLG a while back when Chalster was actually juggling for them. He was playing Xin Zhao, and I believe Link at the time was playing an Orianna, and he dives in, and right as Link hits the command Shockwave, he uses his ult and shoves everybody away from it, and you're like, wow, that is a combo that really just did not work. And so sometimes you'll see this in situations like that. The Nami wave, you know, maybe it goes the wrong direction, maybe Vayne ults and tumbles the wrong way, and things go terribly, and you're like, wow, that really should have worked a little bit better. But as far as analogies go, maybe not the greatest one. Top lane, not the greatest science players either. Shoved around underneath the stern.
I think he'll be all right, though. He'll definitely be able to live through all of this. Do you think, going back to that Lee Sin Orianna, Xing Zhao Orianna combo, do you think that you could possibly kick them out and then back in?
Whoa, Flares is actually going to die here. Kenny U's just going to turn on his ultimate. A little bit of auto attack, trading back. Kenny U. Going very, very low, but will stay alive. Great counterplay there by Flares.
So, like I was saying, I'm just curious. Do you think you could Xing Zhao out and then back in somehow, like in and out, like? That timing would have to be perfect.
Yeah, like you said, probably won't see too much Xin Zhao, although that was not the case this weekend at Intel Extreme Masters San Jose. Gigas brought out the Xin Zhao, and while that is something, whoa, flash, there's the bubble on the body drop. Teleport coming in, Kenny use push, full health. Alan Hardy needs to land the briefcase, couldn't quite get it down there on the body drop.
Great time stun there to get away on body drop.
Yeah, body drop lives. My pronunciation and vocal cords do not. I kind of died halfway through that. I'm not sure. Not sure
You're young. I won't judge you. We're both young.
True that. So yeah, no judgment. I'll do better at the pronunciation next time.
Yeah.
Bottom turret.
Instead of going after the turret, they're just going to go ahead and go back.
Yeah, that was a
possible back door. What?
Probably could have dove that if the new Otter decided to stick around, but with a lot of great wave clear, he'll pick up the CS and take a trip back to base without having lost all that turret. So wait, what? Oh, they're hiding in the bush. Low Pally, Josh Mabry.
Do you think he knows?
That's a little bit of a struggle. We're looking for.
Here comes body drop.
Oh, perfect spell shield. Not gonna go down to that one, but now top lane, you can see the eternal struggle. I think you're actually starting to lose out on a little bit of this. You can't fight in a minion wave, even as a tank. Gonna turn on his ultimate, but is that gonna heal him up enough in time? He just cannot go down one cleaver after another. IKNAU knows how to stay alive.
Definitely. Well, you see that going with the more, I mean, not really full tank, not really full AP, but starting with the Doran's Ring, maybe it is giving us a little bit of a foreshadowing feeling of what exactly is going to happen here in the top
Josh
lane.
Mabry taking a lot of damage, but there's Assault, Battery, nailing him against the wall, popping him down there with a Silver Bolt. 1-for-1 trade so far, but now Ottawa tries to a rough spot. Yeah, Catgot tried to trap them both. Didn't even need to take down Ottawa. He's going to fall on his own. The spear blast, boomerang blade. They come in there.
Incredible double there.
Ricochet to pick up the kill. Now 4-2 off of a great gank. Catgod showing over and over again. What a strong transition he's made to the jungle.
Yeah, I mean, really, he tried to trap both with the Cataclysm, was unable to, but then quickly, adjusted to that. I mean, I wouldn't call it a mistake, but quickly adjusted to that decision there and was able to easily help Otter get the double.
Yeah, Otter actually, like you said, the reaction was, hey, I didn't lock both of them down. So they were like, all right, Otter, you take care of one, I'll take care of the other. Catgod instead helping out for the double. Now, IKNAU ultimate turned on, not able to hit the briefcase. That sound was the sound of that briefcase missing the other direction. Now, the body drop gank. Not as effective.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for Annie. Maybe some serious.
One thing I'm scared of, it's an Annie walking up my lane. Probably not, actually. But, I mean, IKNAU is pretty low, so maybe he had something to fear there. Body drop did have his ultimate up, so Tibbers, very scary bear.
Definitely. And I think, IKNAU's done a great job of using his ults at the right time, really surviving when you think no one else could survive there. And that's what Doc Mundo is known for.
It's true, and survive is what IKNAU has done. He's come out with a 20 CS advantage just about over flares, and in a tank-on-tank meta, that's kind of unheard of. It's like, how do you manage to get more CS than a Maokai? Just like walk up, one-shot the wave, and walk back. Wave control, one of the big advantages for picking Maokai. Against champions, like Aurelia, have to click on every single minion, or just ult the wave. Maokai can just two-shot it with saplings and arcane smash, and walk away. But IKNAU, to his credit, has been both teleporting away and keeping his CS up at the same time. Really in control of that lane, and now switching away from itemizing against his lane opponent and building magic resistance. Giant spell looking for Randuin's Omen for some armor that'll help him out against the rest of them.
Yeah, well, I mean, especially from this top lane, the entirety of the day we've just seen them grow towards team fights, and that's exactly what they're planning on doing. Not necessarily planning to kill each other, but to take some damage from team fights. And I think we're starting to get into that phase. 13.5 minutes in. Again, 4-2 lead by enemy eSports. Not too big. I would barely call it a lead. It's anyone's game at this point.
It's still only about 14 minutes in.
Yeah.
Haven't seen a lot of impact down there towards the bottom half of the map, but with Dragon coming back up in about 1 minute and 30 seconds, you'll already see Inox starting to get his wave, his word control on. Whoa, going forward right into the champions. Trying to coordinate through the game. Command Shockwave will hit as well as action in the top lane. Although something tells me there's a little bit more going on down here as we're trying to find out what on earth is going on. And Ox still trying to come in behind there. Is on the hunt. The Cataclysm already down, bouncing in for his first kill of the game. We got still the tank damage up top lane. It's fights across the map. think once again that this is quite as impactful as that mid lane matchup, with Golden Blue going down as Inox winning that matchup really hard and winning a lane because of it.
Yeah, and it's a 2-0 tower lead by enemy eSports. I mean, not the biggest deal in the world, but it allows them to apply a little bit more pressure, especially in the bottom and middle lane when they're looking towards the Dragon in the next 40 seconds. Stealing the blue from compLexity. I think they're going to crash back to the Dragon in about 30 and have a pretty uncontested Dragon unless unless Mabry can get in there quickly with Golden Glue and Odd Orange.
Yeah, now Odd Orange, let's go ahead and talk about this guy. He was a new addition to the compLexity roster. Everybody else coming out of those compLexity white and black teams we saw in the North American LCS expansion tournaments. And so you bring in Odd Orange. And Odd Orange is this guy, like, it's no mystery. He's a Lee Sin guy. He's got, like I said, almost as many combo videos as shorter race. And everybody knows that about him. But the question is, can you adapt from winning solo queue to winning competitive games where you have to coordinate with the rest of your team? And honestly, he's had a few struggles. Last game didn't go relatively well, but flash out from players. He knows the gang's coming in. It's not just one gang, it's a lot of people coming up top. 4 champions headed his way.
And I think with the sight there from Flares' ward, that I think enemy can definitely seal in on the Dragon.
There you go. It's going to be a good smite there for CatGod. All that pressure top lane onto Flares. It's the easiest decision of his life to flash out of there. He keeps himself alive, and his team gets the Dragon.
Yeah, I mean, well played on his part again. Top, we're not seeing too much aggression one way or the other. Both towers are still alive. And also both towers for bot and mid are still alive for enemy eSports. I think they're doing a pretty solid job kind of shield against that outside. I mean, they're just really well coordinated right now.
And just like this series is the first one that we've seen to go to all the way to 3 games going back and forth, the Dragon buffs going right back and forth with one apiece for both teams. And it's not often that you see things switch quite as evenly, but just another testament to how evenly matched both of these teams are. And honestly, with as much hype as was surrounding enemy eSports as they were coming into the North American LCS expansion tournament, a lot of people were like, hey man, maybe these guys can upset some of their teams in their paths. And while they were unable to do that, they're still an incredibly strong roster. compLexity had a lot of rough spots in the expansion tournament. Neither one of their teams making it through. And combining the rosters, I wasn't really thinking that would solve a lot of their problems. But game number 2, we saw exactly how much it did. Golden Glue looking very strong, but now, Kenny gonna get ignited there. Can't heal through any of it. You just see how effective all those ignites are at dealing with Mundo's regeneration.
Yeah, definitely. And, to put things in a bigger perspective, I just really like this tournament setup in general, not just because of the bans or because of the teams involved, but because the teams involved are fairly evenly matched. And I think the losers bracket could be as entertaining to watch as the winners bracket. It's
Big wombo combo. Odd Orange just narrowly escaping with his life. Another knockup. Speaking of knockups, got one coming back his way. Is Low Pally going to throw down the Tsunami. Able to get in there with a kill on a CatGod. Odd Orange, for all intents and purposes, probably should have died, but just barely getting away with the last bit of his HP, and he'll escape over that Dragon Pit. 1-for-0 exchange, and you can see enemy eSports taking the loss there in that fight. And keep in mind that's after they were able to bait everybody top lane and then take the Dragon. These sneaky rotations may be their strength, but straight up team fight. That time it was compLexity that came out on top.
Yeah, only by 1 kill, but I mean, they had the auto very close. Oh, here's a big fight there.
The block going in, and Flares pick up the kill on the opposing Vayne, and now Flares will be the next to die. 1 so far. Kenny, you going in and going down, actually. Odd Orange might be the next to fall. Boomerang Blade coming in both directions, and Inox there to pick up his 3rd kill of the game. A big fight goes this time in favor of enemy eSports. So, can we get a conclusive team with an advantage? Because it seems to be going both ways.
Yeah, I agree. But Inox and Otter, I don't know if the synergy between them or just their overall team play. They both came out with 1 kill, and they both have 0 deaths. 3-0-3 for Inox and 4-0-5 for Otter. I mean, his build's only getting better with the Infinity Edge there. And, I mean, he just really did a great job of not only kiting E, who was kind of, she didn't know whether to go for it or not, and she also had a little bit of issues with Golden Glue a little bit back and low on health from the previous battle.
Exactly. Just a better position overall for Inox, who was able to get in and out with the distortion. Not an option that Orianna has. the mobility. And Nox, glad to see that his transition to the mid lane is actually looking pretty good. Death by a Grasp, and we were talking about it, the Morellonomicon picked up, further limiting iKennyU's ability to get into team fights and continue regenerating things up. Flash! Tibbers from Body Drop, gonna look to take down Oriana. Barely alive. Commit Shockwave over the wall though. Wombo combo with Odd Orange, but Inox gonna get in for another kill. Now he won't be quite fortunate enough to go down. Josh Mabry kiting things out as a Bane. The Cat God going down, a double kill for Josh Mabry.
Very incredible play by Mabry there, escaping narrowly the Cataclysm and being able to just go ahead and tumble out of the way of any danger there. Definitely a turnaround play for compLexity. Could be tying up the early game, or sorry, definitely does tie up the early game soon. And now we see the tower score 3-2 and the gold score just getting a lot closer.
Yeah, and as things do start to even up, like we said, we keep seeing one kill on one side, then another one, and team fights going both directions. And I mean, if you can do that with the Vayne every time, I don't care. Double kills all the way. And the only thing more impressive than double kills are bubble kills. They're 2 already on a low pal. He's starting to carry things on his own.
Yeah, definitely, and I just think that this game, I mean, like it's like a series of 3 is supposed to do. This game really does make the entire matchups between these two teams so equal. In the first game, we had a lot of enemy aggression, just constantly snowballing. In the second game, same exact thing, but from the opposite side, from compLexity. I mean, I don't know, maybe the blue side's just the lucky side, but we here are seeing the true battle that could have happened all 3 games, but it's definitely happening in the third game.
Yeah, third game, both teams just not willing to give up. And, it's not like either team gave up in the other series, but...
no, definitely not. It was a battle for at least the first 20.
Yeah, but some snowballs just keep rolling. In this game, it's actually interesting to see how it is so combative between both sides. While mid lane may be a really big discrepancy. Actually, now we got another big Oriana Shockwave catching Cat God and Flares, but they are going to eventually fall down. Flares dead. Cat God able to get out of there alive, but look at the aftermath. iKennyU very low, but still very alive. No ignites or Morellonomicon able to stop his regeneration. Stayed huge in that fight, and now, oh man, coming in with a big re-engage Tibbers. Catches 2. Low Pally gonna go down. Otter going big, and now, iKennyU without an ultimate to stay alive. Still very, very tanky. A big on the hunt coming into Otter.
There's the Tibbers chase too. I love seeing that. A little alt clicking there, but fantastic way to just re-engage, and then you see compLexity just get out as soon as possible.
I don't know if we're just like taking turns being nice with dragons, but one right after another changing sides. First one went to compLexity, then you had the other one for enemy. And now right back to compLexity, grabbing their second dragon of the game. Just right back and forth, and at this rate, it's going to take a long time to get to that 5 dragon buff. But even still, you can see the comeback potential. Still down in gold, but able to pick up those big global objectives.
I mean, it's just incredible to me that in team fights, you see people die, you see people kill, of course. But yet, I have yet to see Inox or Otter die. Again, 4-0-3 for Otter. No, sorry, for Inox, and then 5-0-6 for Otter. They have yet to die, and yet you see Golden Glue, who's a very powerful middle, go 0-3-5. I mean, again, great assist, but, I mean, you just see where the kills are going and where the deaths are going, and, I mean, you got to give a little bit of a lead here to enemy eSports.
Now, speaking of the deathless performance there from Otter, what's actually more interesting to me is to see a more mobile AD carry in Josh Mabry's vein go for early defensive itemization, even though you should be able to use that mobility that way. It doesn't quite work that way versus Twisted Advance, and so an early Quicksilver Sash will not only help at preventing assassination attempts by things like LeBlanc or, Otter trying to get in there for that burst damage with Body Drop, but it's also going to allow him to get out of anti-stun, get out of, tethers coming out from Inox, and of course, cleanse that Twisted Advance as well. So it's interesting to see early defensive itemization might prevent, Josh Mabry's ability to kill off something like Slayers or Cat God if they keep getting tankier, but will help keep him alive a little bit longer.
Yeah, I mean, an interesting choice whenever I AD carry, and I'm certainly not good at all at it. I just like to go just full offense. So it's I got to give him props for going with the sash on that one.
Here it goes. Kenny is going to go in onto Otter, forces that flash and the on the hunt backwards. Not sure where that tidal wave was going, but whoa, the turnaround in Nox. picking off the support. Command Shockwave gonna be big. A shutdown coming in. Look at Golden Glue. He's still doing damage. Off kiting away on the backside. And Otter's still alive though. He's gonna turn this team fight around. Like, which way we going, man? A 1 for 2, and that kill onto a Nox almost just as fast as Low Pally evaporated. Now, iKenny, he's so tanky. He's got the regen, but can he get out of this one alive? Barely. The Dragon Strike coming in from CatGod, picking up his 3rd kill of the game.
Tower finally goes down. I think the tower's health was lower than any other player who didn't die in that team fight. But as you can easily see, Enemy Esports comes out on top.
Yeah, now 18-9, doubling up their kill score, and with turrets just dropping one right after another, it's going to be the first base turret of the game going down in 24 minutes.
5-2 here for Towers for Enemy Esports. A big turn there. I'm sure that will be one of the biggest turning points of the game. Again, in order for another turning point to occur, we need compLexity Esports to really make an active comeback there. And in a team fight that looked like to be in compLexity's favor, Enemy was able to turn it around quickly, especially with the Sivir ult back and then coming back in with the Jarvan, the 4th ultimate cataclysm.
Yeah, to be real though, Inox getting that early jump onto Low Pally, didn't know what hit him. Even though there was no silence to stop him from flashing away, you don't really need that when you just have damage. Inox one-shot the support, but you gotta give credit to Golden Glue. He got in there with a big command shockwave, took out Inox, gave him his first death of the game, and at this point, you know, showing that while you can turn things around literally with an Orianna ult, cannot quite do that in the scope of the game overall. Good ultimate landed, but still not effective enough to turn the game around.
I think the biggest difference here has to be the disparity between Inox and Golden Glue's item build. Golden Glue here, I mean, looking to build something here after the Unholy Grail. I mean, I'm sure it's going to be Zonas. I don't know why that was blanking for me in a second. But anyways, you can just see how much more ability power the LeBlanc in Inox has and how quickly he just destroyed Lopoli in that team fight early on. I don't know if you saw that, but that was about a half a second kill.
Yeah, that's where you
in
need
and
a
out.
Death recap to show, oh, you know, 3 million damage in 0.2 seconds. Yeah, the struggle of being a support Nami, walking face check into a LeBlanc. Yeah, Deathfire Grass, now a Void Staff added right on top of that, so Inox going to continue to be effective, going for a little bit of extra magic penetration, just to make sure that things like that, Locket of the Iron Solari aren't going to, be able to protect compLexity quite as much.
And again, where we saw an early Baron from compLexity, I'm sure no one is going to go Baron yet. We have the Dragon up in 1:15. This could be a big one for Enemy Esports, because then they'll get that movement speed, and that will definitely help them just overall. I mean, I feel like this Dragon could easily go to Enemy Esports, completing the end of this phase.
Well, yeah, we have seen Dragons traded right back and forth, one on one side and then swapping back and forth, but in order for Enemy to be able to pick up this next Dragon, they would have to exert enough pressure forward and then back on off towards the Dragon. It looks like that's exactly what they're going to do. They shove up the mid lane and then rotate down towards that objective, and they have war control in the area, so it's not that big of a task to ask of them to just disengage and take down.
Yeah, I still got 35 seconds and counting, which is going to give compLexity plenty of time to get in position to counter their Dragon move. Certainly, this could be the fight we've been waiting for that could determine the series.
Fights over objective, good way to start and finish games, and I don't think that there's too many options for compLexity to say, all right, we want to force these objectives, but look at what they're doing. They just run right down the mid lane. They catch Enemy out of position, and now it's going to be up to iKenny to stay alive.
Oh.
Going to get ignited. Well, that's actually, whoa, Command Shockwave just blows Inox apart, and now it's going to be a kill there on Annie. She's going to go down. Josh maybe flashing back and back of the fight. He's going to stay alive. There's so much damage, forcing 2 flashes away. Now Otter's going to give some more move speed to the rest of his team without on the hunt. But will Flares and CatGod be able to get away? Briefcase will tag him. The re-engage. Otter from behind. He's going to keep hitting auto attacks. Now godlike is iKenny trying to get on top of him. Got Flares right there. And again, he's going to get away alive. Last auto attack. He's going to finish off Otterwards. And Otter.
Oh, it could be the mail.
He's almost going to be able to kill them both.
Oh.
But Golden Glue and Hate both survive. Otter almost like 1v3, 1v4 in the end of that fight. Almost single-handedly turned it around.
Almost single-handedly pentakill to turn it around. I mean, incredible 9-0-10 performance. No matter if someone else kills an enemy, not an enemy of complexity. An enemy of an enemy, I guess, isn't your friend still in this game. Excuse me. But complexity caught out huge there. Otter is doing a fantastic job. I don't think he can 1-on-2 this.
Nice spell shield. He's going for it. He's going to get golden glue, but a cleaver hits him at the last second. That's going to be the shutdown. No longer the Goddard. 12 or 10, 1 and 10. Some big numbers out there. Let me see, was that 1, 2? Can't do binary to save my life, but still a good score for Otter.
Yeah, incredible game for Otter, picking up the pickaxe again. That's only going to help the damage. I'm sure a Last Whisper is in order next, because the only person that it seems that Otter's having trouble killing is that Doc Mundo.
2 and 4. I'm still trying to do it, but I can't quite get it down there. Yeah, great CS, even better score, and Otter is just a monster. Could have used a Last Whisper in that last fight to puncture through a little bit of, I can't use armor, but I mean, there's only so much you could ask of a 10-kill Sivir.
And after all of that, enemy eSports takes their third dragon, giving them 5% movement speed here. I mean, I thought that fight was going to happen over the dragon. Instead, it wasn't. It was after a turret had died minutes ago.
Man, this game just doesn't get any closer, and honestly, what better way could you look to close out the closest series of the night? We've had, 2-0 in the first game of the night, and then it was looking like a 2-0 after game number 1, but with complexity coming out with a big turnaround, we'll see if they can turn it right round again. Things like Golden Glue's command shockwaves have been on point. He's got 10 assists, but when you have that many assists and that many kills on guys like Otter, I mean, you can't really expect enemy to lose at this point with an 80 carry that strong and a tank line that good at protecting her, and yet over and over again, complexity keep hanging on.
Yeah, it is incredible to see. I mean, you think this dominant force of Otter is going to be unstoppable in this next fight, but I would not be surprised if every single complexity member is just going after Otter.
A rough world to be an Otter. Like, I mean, I've watched my fair share of cute otters playing YouTube videos, wasted hours of my life, and yet I don't know. I'm not really filled with rage at otters. I don't just want to go kill them all, but possibly the feelings that complexity are having. Not big fans of otters right now by any means. And you'll notice in the face of being the most fed member on his team, he's like the strong just gets stronger. Whoa, low pally. Almost going down there. Not sure why Inox didn't commit to that one, but Pally stays alive. Might have had having a slight, pulmonary infarction or whatever you call heart attacks, but he's staying alive nonetheless.
Well, the Baron is taken by enemy eSports, and it looks like with the buff, with the goal, with the towers, they have a clear lead here going into one of the final team fights of the game. Yeah. I really don't think complexity is going to be able to hold on. How long is that Baron buff again?
Baron buff's going to last for 280 seconds, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And when you're pushing out of the base with minions that are empowered by the Baron buff, it just gets to be an incredibly difficult push to stop. And you can see the immediate reaction from complexity. They're like, wait a second, we're pushing, enemy team just got Baron buff. I'm like, whoops, and they got us.
And even look at top, they have an unguarded inhibitor with a pretty solid pack of minions up there. All those with the Baron buff, they're definitely rushing to see. And I think this team fight, this 5-on-5 is going to happen.
Man,
right
this
here.
Inhibitor, if this inhibitor lives through this push, you got to give some major props to complexity for defending it. And it does look like, by and large, they're starting to clear out those waves, but you can tell with Otter coming in, he's really putting the pain down. The inhibitor dropping lower, and there it goes. First inhibitor of the game will go to enemy eSports.
And like usual fashion with the first inhibitor, they do back off and plan their next turret attack, which will come from middle. Well, now all 5 teammate members here with the buff. Oh, there's that super cannon, which I love.
Well, you may love it. I'm sure complexity has completely different feelings about it. Just huge range. I think you add 800 range to cannon minions. I don't know, but it's crazy. And it gives them the ability to outrange turrets and keep that damage coming in.
Well, what's great about this LeBlanc, and although he's not being too aggressive here, I think he can really start to chunk down this Doc Mundo first, and then they can move on. But I mean, I'm sure they won't be targeting Doc Mundo anyways. Look at, he's just a wall right there with that.
Well, we've seen it a couple of times using that Morellonomicon and some ignites that are up, both ignites up right now actually for enemy eSports to catch Dr. Mundo a little bit out of position. He panics, hits the R button, you can't heal it right back up. So maybe if you can drop the ignites fast enough, early enough in the fight, it's not a bad idea. But of course you do want to hit that back line. Guys like Josh Mabry haven't been shut down necessarily, and especially now that Quicksilver Sash could use it and will use it to flash away, gets himself back out of the fight. Can he get back into it? Otter kiting out in the back. Command Shockwave hits absolutely nothing. Flares going in, Inox going in, and honestly enemy esports should be going down here, but like you said, Josh Mabry just couldn't get back into the fight after using the QSS and tumbling out.
That Command Shockwave was terribly ineffective. That could have been a turning point there, but it just didn't do anything. And then you see Mundo quickly back, fully regenerated here.
Oh man, Auto Orange maybe in a rough spot, and Nox blows him apart. And even though Ikenyu is very, very tanky, he gets chunked down to half HP. Forced to disengage once again. Now Cat just tanking up that turret while body drop Inox and Otter
double
go to
stun
town.
Cataclysm.
Big dunk through the turret. Golden Glue gonna hit a nice Zanya's to keep him alive, but that inhibitor not quite as lucky. The inhibitors unfortunately cannot buy Zanya's hourglasses, and so they will stay dead when they're down for at least a little bit. And this actually could be enemy esports. Pile driving through for the win. It's only 2 alive here for compLexity. There's a shockwave to hit Josh Mabry. Gonna go down though, and without her Pile driving through those turrets, the Nexus left to fall. Now Auto Orange and Golden Glue are both still alive. Can they keep this Nexus alive? They're gonna go in. Assault, battery, the auto attacks keep coming through, and there is the kill of the Nexus. GG, 35 minutes in, a 26-18 victory for enemy esports.
I mean, twice now they had the opportunity to Command Shockwave out of that, but I mean, you see, like we've been talking about all day, the snowball's rolling, and it would turn into just a hunk of ice that could not be stopped, not even by Doc Mundo.
That's true. Mundo goes where he pleases, but unfortunately that time, enemy went wherever they pleased all over him. And of course all over the rest of the team, although to be fair, it was the closest game we've seen all night long.
Oh, definitely. It was a fantastic game, and I just have to give, I think everyone has to give their props to Otter. He played a fantastic Sivir, and I think I can admit this, I was a doubter. And especially with that anti-sup, I don't know, but we'll see an instant replay here coming up to you in the 27th minute. Definitely a huge turning point in the game here. Still tied enough despite double the kills for enemy gaming.
All right, now let's go ahead and walk you through this. Immediately, you see a lot of burst damage onto Dr. Mundo, which makes it a safer place for Josh Mabry to go in on. You see he kites back to the back of the fight after just diving right through it. He'll get immediately CC'd by Maokai's Twisted Advance, but then he'll cleanse out of that one, gets back to the back of the fight, and at this point, it's the worst possible situation versus a Vayne. You've used your CC, she's still dealing damage. Flares, Cat God, both forced to flash away, but now look at Otter coming in. He's like, all right, guys, we're going in, and he's going to turn this fight around. You see, Ikenyu, he just ignores Otter completely, says, all right, let's just go for the guaranteed kill, but Otter's got second opinions. He's going to come in and look at this turnaround. An immediate jump in by Jarvan. Low Pally explodes off of the Ricochet coming down, and all of a sudden with 2 deaths, you start to get really scared. Otter, he's going to find Dr. Mundo there, and even though it's a good job zoning things out, look at the synergy, the support as Flares came back in to keep Otter alive. At this point, that crit lands onto Auto Orange. He's like, wait a second, what? Triple kill for Otter. Almost turns this around into even more, but the Ricochet just not quite enough damage to take down Kenny. And that is kind of the way the cookie crumbled. Otter, just the strong got stronger. An incredible game for him, just like a repeat of game number 1, and enemy esports in the end, taking their series versus compLexity 2-1.
I mean, I would have loved to see the penalty kill there. That would have just been so entertaining. Also to see you yell, it's always always so fun. I just see you freaking out.
Yeah, there's a
you
reason
guys
we
can't
keep the game on screen instead of pointing at us.
We'll never switch it. Yeah, we'll never switch it. But anyways, the go-ahead win goes to enemy, right? Fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we're a little bit out of words. It's been a long day, but it's been full of great games. I do want to thank every single one of you for tuning in to the first day of the NACL winter playoff season. It's I know it's good for me. I'm glad to be back, and I'm sure you guys are glad to get some more NACL under your belts. We'll have a whole lot more of that coming your way this week, so make sure to tune in tomorrow at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I believe that's 2 a.m. Central European Time. If you want to really commit yourself and get your way onto some North American esports. We want to thank you all once again for tuning in. Any final words, Chase?
I mean, just great great games overall. I mean, I really love watching it. This is some of my more fun than I've had in a while. So that's all I gotta say.
All right. Well, you can't really ask for a lot more than that, except for more games. So make sure to tune in tomorrow. In the meantime, make sure to follow NACL Esports for a little bit more information. You can follow them on Facebook and Twitter at NACL Esports. You can also stay tuned to the channel by hitting the follow button right down below. And of course, if you want any of the fabulous NACL Esports icons, you can hit the subscribe button. I know it was a lot of fun to see all those faces being spammed last season. So if you can support us that way, really appreciate your support. And of course, big reminder that all of this tournament culminates to a live LAN on New Year's Day, December 31st, here in San Jose, California, at the AFK Gamers Lounge. Top 3 teams in the league being flown in for some grand finals action that you guys don't want to miss. So once again,
$15,000. Excuse me.
Yeah, $15,000 on the line, and it's all going to come down to that. So make sure to come back tomorrow, 5 p.m. PST. We'll have some more NACL Esports action coming your way. My name is Rapid. With me is Chase, and on behalf of us and our entire NACL broadcast crew, we do want to thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.